Hi everyone, good morning. Good morning guys, welcome to our Friday Ask Me Any Stock session. I think some of you have already joined us and you're early. If you guys can see and hear me loud and clear, you can see my screen as well. Just type a GM for good morning, all right, before we get started today. And let me just acknowledge all of you for just being early. Help us to like and share as well. Help us to like and share so that we can reach out to more people, all right, to cover your US stocks. Let me know, just type GM for good morning. Let's see who is joining us here today. All right, I think slowly more and more of you are streaming in today. We have, let's see, we have Stephen here as well today. Hi, good morning as well, Stephen. Josephine, good morning. Catherine, ABC. Yeah, I think ABC, you're here every Friday joining us. Thank you so much for joining us every Friday morning. All right. Hi, HL, good morning. Good morning as well. Pongi as well. Hi, Rick, good morning. Pauline, good morning. Good morning. Okay, good. So it seems like this is working, guys. Let's get started. All right, let's get started. Welcome to our Friday weekly Ask Me Any Stock session. So in short, right, the name of this live show is called AMAS, which is Ask Me Any Stock. All right, actually not ask me lah, ask us lah, because we have 3% over here. All right, so in this session, what happens is that we'll do a very quick market outlook, right? And today will be the US market, right? So we will be covering what we call the US stocks, right? After doing a quick market outlook, we'll cover your US stocks that you pretty much put in the chat. Give us a bit of context, right? Are you looking to buy, to sell? When you bought it, what happens, right? Let us know a bit of context, and that's where we'll go through your US stocks very quickly, all right? And then right? I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn and then to Zee. We'll go round robin style and we'll cover all your US stocks. And at the end, right, what happens is that each of us will share one US stocks that we like that you can potentially put in your watch list as well. All right, sounds good. So let's get started, right? So welcome those of you who have just joined us. We're live on YouTube as well as on Facebook. Help us to hit the like and share button. Show us some love. I think there is a kind of like a chat button whereby you can give some hearts and shit, right? I don't know whether you guys can see it over here, right? Just hit the heart button, like button. That will really help out the channel as well. Thank you so much. Good morning as well, Shah. Good morning, Ching Ho. Okay, so very simple. Let's get started today. If you have not seen me before, my name is Joey Choy, top tier miser, trader in Philips Securities. I've been doing this for more than a decade now. We conduct training as well to teach people a little bit more on my one good trend strategy. All right. In short, it's called 1GT. All right, 1GT. And I have an indicator. Later, we'll use this indicator called the One Good Trend Pro indicator that pretty much allows me and my team and anyone, right, to get an opinion on any stocks in seconds, right? Whether are there any bullish or bearish signals. So later we'll dive into your stocks using my strategy. I'll give you a quick opinion together with my team, right? So we don't have any webinars planned right now to learn more about the strategy, but if you want, probably just be on my email list, join us every Friday, and that's where we'll share again when there are any webinars to learn more, all right, to learn more. Okay, so yeah, let me go to introduce my team right now. All right, and today I have Bervyn with me. Bervyn, one of the top brokers under me in Philips Securities, have been with me for more than 5 years now. All right, conducting our group coaching sessions, our one-on-one call for our mentees, and assisting our team's portfolio manager as well. Right, and Bervyn also is what we call a chartered financial analyst, right? CFA holder, right? So he's not just very pro technically, but fundamentally as well. And I always go to him for a quick opinion on certain stocks as well, right? So maybe I can pass on the mic to Bervyn just to share a little bit about himself, or maybe what he can add value to you guys today. Bervyn?
All right. Thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Welcome back to our weekly Ask Me Any Stock US session. All right. So I think today, over the past week, we've seen a little bit of pullback in the market. So I think Joey later on will cover the index, but a little bit more on myself. Yes, I've been Joey for about 5 years already, and my expertise is mostly in fundamental, but I believe both fundamental and technical analysis have to go hand in hand together in order to perform a good trade. All right, good trade doesn't mean winning trade, but at least a convicted trade as well. So I think without further ado, I think I will pass the time back to Joey to cover today's session.
Okay, thank you so much, Bervyn. All right, so I'm Zee as well with me as well today, right? So Zee is also one of the top brokers, right, under me in Philips Securities. Have been with me for more than 5 years now, all right, and also very proficient in anything I would say technical analysis, right? Anything to do with charts. She's an expert, right? She's what we call a chartered market technician holder. All right, so candlestick, price action, pattern, you name it, she knows it. Of course, she's very well versed in the entire one good trend strategy and the 1GT Pro indicator that we'll use as well to analyze your stock. So Zee has been helping me with the group coaching sessions, conducting trainings for our team as well, for our mentees, and also assisting our team's portfolio manager. Right. So Zee, maybe I can just pass on the mic to you to share a little bit on yourself.
All right, thanks, Joey. Hi, everyone. My name is Zee. Thanks, Joey, for the intro. So, yeah, for those who are new here, something about me is that I'm really a big fan of charts. I like to look at charts and trends and candlesticks and things like that. So, have been with Joey for about close to 4.5 years. And, the thing is that I really enjoy breaking things down, to something that's simple, not too complicated, right? And maybe sometimes even fun and engaging. So, we'll be live for maybe about 1.5 hours today. So, later you will see, how Joey's 1GT Pro indicator, right, can actually make trading journey kind of like less intimidating, because just with a click of a button and just within seconds, you can actually get a very quick opinion of the stocks as well. So later we'll go through that and we'll try to cover as many stocks as possible. All right, so back over to you, Joey, to actually start today's session.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's get started, right? So just a quick disclaimer as always, guys, that whatever that we share today, all right, me, Bervyn and Zee, it's just for education purposes only, right? Please do your own due diligence, own homework. It's really not to ask you to buy or sell anything or not to do anything as well, all right? But essentially just to give you a quick opinion, right, based on the strategy, all right, based on the reasonable basis, on the charts, on the technical analysis, and of course, based on my indicator, the 1GT Pro indicator, right? So yeah, please do a bit of homework as well, all right? A quick disclaimer that we always have to share. Okay, so let's get started right now, right? I'm going to go through the markets. How many do you want me to just go ahead to cover like the markets, maybe the S&P 500 index? Just type of M for market, guys. If you want me to cover very quickly the markets before we go into the stocks, the US stocks that you guys want, right? Type M for markets, let me know, right? If you guys want me to talk about the markets very quickly. Hi, Colleen, good morning as well. Hi, Rajan, good morning. I think you are here every Friday as well. All right, Shah, Nasdaq, Mal, good morning. Damien, good to see you as well. Good morning. Victor, good morning. Thomas, all right. Market. Let's go ahead to talk about the markets very quickly right now. All right, and this is the S&P 500 index right over here. Can you see, guys, right over here, 6,370. So you can see that very quickly since April, right after the sell down in April, of course, since like even February, March, we sold off pretty badly, right, all the way down from 6,002 all the way to around 5,002, right, due to Trump introducing reciprocal tariffs, right, and then a sudden sell down. But what happened? We saw a pretty good rebound from mid of April all the way up to where we are right now, right? From 5,002 to 6,370, right? Which is where we are right now. So very strong, I would say, recovery, right? Very strong recovery based on the short-term trend turning up. So when we look at the trend, we kind of like break it down into two segments, right? The first segment would be the longer-term trend. So you can see the longer-term trend rates line, the 100-day simple moving average, and the blue line, the 200-day simple moving average, has been pointing up, I would say, since 2023, right? So since 2023, 2024, very strong longer-term uptrend, right? Higher lows, higher highs. Of course, in the short term, we can see a slight pullback as well, like what we saw in April, right? So over here, you can see that the red line, 100 days moving average, actually went below the blue line. However, you can see there are some signs of the longer-term trend starting to turn back up as well. Can you guys see that the 100 days moving average, the red line, has crossed back above the blue line? So there are some beginning signs of the longer term trend potentially turning back up as long as we stay above some critical new higher support levels. Does it make sense? All right. So what would be those support levels that came out over the past 2 to 3 weeks? So I would say that this is a very critical support level right over here. You want to write it down, the 6,200 level. So 6,002 was where we were trading below since December. Near it, came down. In fact, before it sold down in February, we near it, came back down, right? However, since like July last month, we broke above the 6,002, right? Went all the way up. You can see a bit of profit taking, came back down, retested the 6,002 and push up again, all right, from the 6,002. So I think not too bad as long as we can stay above the 6,200 or maybe even above 6,300. The uptrend looks pretty intact. What about the key resistance whereby we can see major selling pressure over the past 1-2 weeks, or that would be none other than the 6,500 resistance level. Look at this right over here. I mean, since like, last week as well, we neared it, came back down. Of course, there's some news regarding like the central bank, Jerome Powell, kind of like, potentially reducing rates finally. All right, so the market went up, but that might be delayed due to some inflationary pressures again. All right, so market kind of use that as an opportunity to sell off. Of course, ongoing, there's some tariffs news as well in the market. Deals are still being made, all right? There's still ongoing negotiation with China, all right? But I would say that the tensions between US and China have cooled off by quite a lot already compared to in April when Trump just announced it. So tariff news-wise, it still affects, but a little bit more of a backseat for now, all right? People are focusing a little bit more on the rate cuts that is coming in potentially in September or maybe up to end of the year, maybe just one rate cut. And if that happens, that could be a catalyst, all right, of potentially even more upside and a catalyst for maybe for the market to break the 6,500 psychological resistance level. So very simple. Now let me go ahead to turn on the 1GT Pro indicator. So what I've done is that I've done a very quick manual analysis, all right, on the market, right, as to what's the trend looking like for the longer term in terms of the key support levels and in terms of the resistance where my selling can come back, right? But if I'm lazy, right, and I just want to remove all this stuff, remove all the manual hard work, right, I could in a matter of seconds just turn on the 1GT Pro indicator and let's see if there are any bullish or bearish signals. So you can see I've turned on 3 boxes right over here, which would be the 100 days, 200 days, and the 20 days simple moving average. The red line, green line, and the blue line. Does it make sense? So you can see I turn it off, pump. Disappeared, no more. All right, then it's really like a blank chart, right? Nothing to see, right? So I'll turn it on very quickly, pump. And more importantly, I can turn on the signals, right, to see if there are any bullish or bearish signals, right? Not just for any stock, for the market, in case you're wondering, this is not a stock, this is the market, right? This is the S&P 500 index that represents the top 500 companies in the US. So you can turn it on in the market and get an opinion on the entire market as well. Does it make sense? All right, so let's turn it on. 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. Let's see, right? So are there any bullish or bearish signals for the markets? Well, quite obviously, you can see, I'll not go too far, but I mean, since like last year, we got a bullish signal, October, all the way up, another bullish signal all the way up. All right. It's not always bullish lah. Sometimes we get red bearish signals like over here. That was in February, March, right? We got not 1 but 2 bearish signals. That was before the April sell down. 2 bearish signal, all right? And of course, the market started to sell down, all right? The short-term trend turned down as well, and down. But look at the reversal, right? We got, as I say, since April, we saw, a very strong V-shaped kind of recovery, right? But did any bullish signal came out then to guide us to get back in, to ride the reversal? Yes, right over here, right? We got a 1GT bullish signal on the 29th of April, right? The short-term trend, the green line, that was going down, also started to turn up as another confirmation. Is it still up right now? All right, so let's take a look at the green line. So the green line gives us a bit of a indication of the short-term trend. So I would say the green line was like up. Now it is, I would say, maybe flattening out. Does it make sense? Maybe not up, maybe flattening out a little bit, but also not down, right? So it's a bit sideways, which is fine. It just means that we are in a bit of a sideways short-term consolidation. Does it make sense so far? All right, so it looks pretty okay. As I say, we might be consolidating maybe from not even 6,002, maybe 6,003 to 6,005, up, down. And of course, if the 6,500 were to give way, we could see even a new bullish signal, even more upside momentum. You see what I'm saying? All right. And of course, look at this bullish signal, pump, right? 2 bullish signal. And we started to see the reversal from here all the way up. And recently, right, just about 3 weeks back, we got a bearish signal coming out. So 16% upside and a bearish signal come out. All right. We saw a bit of selling. We broke certain support, right? What I call the trailing support. And but a week, 2 weeks later, we got another new 1GT bullish signal coming out. So I think it looks a little bit more bullish, compared to like 2 weeks ago when we saw a heavy sell down. All right, so a little bit more bullish, but just that we need to break above that 6,500 psychological, I would say, level or resistance for the entire S&P 500 index. When that happens, if we were to break 6,500, guys, I would say that this green line from flat, I don't know how long it'll flat, but it might be flat. But if we to break 6,500, right, guys, this green line will start to turn up as another confirmation. We may even see a new one GT bullish signal. I mean here, right, you can take and maybe paste it over here. All right, we see a new bullish signal as another confirmation that could really lead the next phase of the market. All right, and that's why you can see a lot of bullishness coming in on many of those US stocks as well. Does it make sense so far? All right, so that is the market, the S&P 500 index on the key levels that we are indeed watching right now. And if I can quickly show you, all right, the very powerful feature of the 1GT Pro indicator that I have. So I've turned on the bullish and bearish signals, the buy and sell signals, right? But on the third box right over here, the trailing support and resistance. Let me turn it on, pump. And there we go. So you can see, right, when I turn it on, that's where you can see a line below the price. There's a green line that is moving upwards, following the price or the market as it moves even higher. As the name goes, right, trailing support, right? Trailing means like following up, right? But you follow it, don't follow too closely. So like give it some space to breathe a bit, you know what I mean? So you follow, it goes up, you follow, up, flat, follow, right? And as long as you're above the trailing support, you're pretty okay. But of course, when the bearish signal popped out right over here, we kind of like just went below the trailing support, right? But the green line, as I said, was still kind of like pointing up, so still okay. Finally, we went above the trailing resistance. A new 1GT bullish signal came out. So we're still above the new trailing support that is around 6,300. So as I say, right, anything above 6,003 still okay, all the way to 6,500 resistance level for the S&P 500 index, right? So yeah, that will be the S&P 500 index. So now, very simple, guys. Let me go into cover the US stocks that you guys want right now just to save time. So would it be okay if you guys type in the name of the US stocks that you want covered? So how we do it is that we'll go round robin style. I'll pick the first US stock. I'll pass on the mic to Bervyn and to Zee, and then Zee will pass it back to me, right? So we do it very quickly, maybe about 1 or 2 minutes per stock. We try to cover about 15 over US stocks, right? So just type the name of the US stocks in the chat right now. If you are just joining us, okay, let me just see. I think, yeah, we have more than 150 of you joining us. We are live on YouTube and Facebook. If you're just joining us, guys, right now, scrolling through YouTube and Facebook, you have no idea who I am. Welcome, right? Don't scroll away. Welcome to this live show called Ask Me Any US Stocks. If you're not looking at the US market or you have no idea what it is, you don't touch US stocks, then never mind, you can scroll away, right? But if you are looking at US stocks, right, you're looking at US stocks, you're thinking about buying some US stocks, you need an opinion on US stocks, then don't scroll away. You're in the right place, right? You're in the right place. Stay tuned, because in this live show right now that's happening live, we will be talking about the US market, right? Any US stocks that you want a quick opinion on, type it in the chat, but don't just type the name out, right? Give us a bit of context, right? Give us a bit of context. Like, for example, asking lemonade. What about lemonade? I mean, is it a drink or something? I don't know. What is it about? Right? What do you want to know about lemonade? Are you looking to buy? Maybe you bought it last year. Maybe you're thinking about selling, or maybe it's gone up. You don't know when to sell. So give us a bit of context. So that when we look through your US stocks, right, we can give you a bit of a better, more personalized kind of like opinion. Does it make sense? And we give probably a bit more priority than someone just typing Apple. All right, so do that, right? So we'll give you a bit more priority. Type the name of the stock and give us a bit of context. You're looking to buy, looking to sell, you got in when, what price, that kind of thing. So I hope that would be more helpful to guide you guys as well. All right. Okay, so let me go ahead to go through the US stocks right now to see. Let's see, right? Just give me some time. Let me go through, right? Okay, let's take a look at the first one. Damien, all right, thanks for joining us, Damien. Broadcom, right? AVGO, one of the pretty strong semiconductor stock as well. Okay, let's see. All right, so thanks, Damien, for giving us a bit of context. Okay, Broadcom, I bought it at 300. Okay, good. Seems to have some form of weakness these couple of days already. Let's find out. Any advice? Thank you. So you bought at 300. So at least very good. At least let me know the price you bought, and I don't know what price it now. Let's find out. All right. Broadcom, AVGO. Let's take a look at it. And let's see, right? Oh, okay. So this is Broadcom right here. The first US stock for today. Let me just write it down. Trading at $289.60. So Damien, you mentioned you bought at about 300 lah. 300 where that means about maybe a few days back or something like that, right? 300, right? Okay, so before I talk about what to do, right? Okay, let me just very quickly show you guys that this is Broadcom. As you can see, I've already turned on the bullish and bearish signal, right? So look at this, right? Pump, gone, pump, on. All right. So as I said, any stocks. I mean, of course, today we are looking at US stock, but Singapore stock also can, Hong Kong stock, Germany stock, Canada stock, Malaysia stock, any stock also can, right? But today is US stock, okay? Turn it on, get an opinion in seconds, right? So you can see very, very quickly. I'll not go too far, but I mean, you guys can see yourself that we got a bullish signal pump, right? That was in December 2024, just about a few months back. Pump, right? And then we got bearish, not one but two bearish signals. There we go. So if you see a bearish signal, then of course, please don't go and buy. Of course, if you see other confirmation that is like the green 20 days moving average line going down, that means the short-term trend is down as well. Plus got bearish signal, then you can buy for what, right? I mean, then it's where you'll be stuck, right? So we don't buy when you see a bearish signal, right? Then you might ask me, hey, then Joey, when do we buy? When do we want to get back in again, like to catch the reversal? Well, when you get some confirmations like a bullish signal, all right, right away here, that was in April, all right, pump, then went up, what, two more, and then went up even faster, right? So I think looking at these bullish signals, Damien, if you have got in here, then better lah. I mean, that is where I would say that the gain is about 77%, right? If you have got in earlier, right, based on this bullish signal, but you got in maybe like a few days back only, so maybe a bit higher already lah. Does it make sense, right? But that's where I want to show you guys that, based on this bullish signals, it can guide you to get back in, all right, and to maximize your profits until a bearish signal were to appear, right? And that could guide you to get out. I mean, especially if you see a bearish signal, then what for you want to hold all the way down, right? Especially if things are all pointing down. Does it make sense? All right. Okay, so looks good. Bullish signals coming out. Right now, you can see that the longer term trend is up. Look at the red and the blue line. So I would say for Broadcom, the 100 days moving average, the red line has been pointing up, blue line pointing up, red above the blue. So longer term trend has been okay lah. No worries about the longer term trend. It has been up since not just last month or last month, since like last year already up already. Okay, so longer term trend has been up. No problem. But doesn't mean long term trend up means the short term is always up, right? Because short term trend can be down, right? Can be 1 week, can be 2 weeks, can be 1 month, can be 2 months, right? Like you see, in January we got two bearish signal. All right, from January go down until April. All right, so the short term trend was down, even though the longer term trend was up there. Does it make sense so far? Right? So we don't want to buy it when the short-term trend is down. So you get me, right? We want to buy when both are up. Right? That's what we call a higher probability kind of trade. All right. So longer-term trend is up, Damien. I think it's okay. It's okay. Longer-term trend is up. But let's take a look at the short-term trend. Let's take a look at short-term trend. So you can see that right now, the green 20 days moving average line is up. Let's see whether up or down now. Still okay lah, Damien, right? I would say not down right? It's I mean also not up lah, but it's flat lah. Does it make sense so far, Damien? So I would say the short-term trend has turned down. Sorry, my mistake. The short-term trend has turned from up to sideways, because the green 20 days moving average line is no longer kind of like pointing up, like if it's like up like that, then very nice lah, but it's kind of like see a bit of profit taking. So we are seeing a little bit of a consolidation in the short term. So what would be kind of like the range right now? So I would say that support level would be from here. I mean, look at this, right? You can see quite clearly, Damien, that 280, something over here, right? That was where you saw a pretty good bullish reversal candle, rebounded, traded downward on Wednesday, we saw this candle, right? Long lower shadow that shows buyers coming out near 280 to push it all the way higher as well. So 280 would be what we call a horizontal support all the way to 320. So 280 to 320, about a $40. So I think back to your question, right? You bought it at 300. I mean, of course, slightly higher compared to in May or April when you get in based on the bullish signals. But you have to monitor, right? If we stay above 280, I think it still looks okay. In fact, let me go ahead to turn on the trailing support level. As I say, one of the very powerful feature of the One Good Trend Pro indicator that just give us another perspective, another confirmation. All right, let's turn it on. See. So when we got the first 1GD bullish signal, look at these the trailing support popped up. All right, and this trailing support, as I said just now, it follows the stock as it moves higher, right? But don't follow too closely. You give it the breathing allowance, right? To breathe lah. So there's some space, between the price and the line. Does it make sense? So you go up, then you follow. Got space, right? So right now you can see that we are obviously still above the. So this one is what I draw just now, the 280, right? So let me just remove this. You can see that we're actually still kind of like above the trailing support level, which is around 282, or even more specific, 280, 282 lah. All right. And in fact, on Wednesday, we kind of like hit it there, and then buyers came back and pushed it back up. Right. So I think that's a very key level to watch. I mean, you can see that since April the trailing support popped up when it was 136. 136, follow until now become 281, 282. Does it make sense? So this trailing support has some weight. If you're above it, it's fine. But if we go below it, then not so good. I mean, I give you the space to be above. You still use up the space and go below. That means something wrong. There's a bit of selling pressure coming back. Then we might want to be careful. Something like over here, can you see? We got a trailing support popping up. Got 1 GT bearish signal. The green line also point down. And there we go. We could see some, doesn't mean it's going to crash and stuff, but just that we might see some short-term selling coming back. And it could guide you to maybe take some, money off the table or reduce some exposure as well, right? So far, it hasn't happened yet. It could just be hovering above the trailing support like you see over here. We neared it and push higher, right? We neared it, push higher. So it could be that way as well, but just take note of some of the key levels now. 280, 282, that is key for now. If we stay above it, still fine. We might just be consolidating from 280 all the way to $320. All right, so that is Broadcom. I hope that helps Damien as well. So now let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock. Bervyn?
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, so I think on my screen right here, we have Palantir, because I think Evelyn is asking about Palantir. I think Gunnar Ray is also asking about Palantir. All right, so guys, before I continue, I just wanted to just bring this up because we notice that sometimes our volume may not be the same. So if you find that our volume is a little bit soft or a little bit too loud, just let us know so we can make the necessary adjustments, okay? Or you can turn your volume up and down also, no problem there. All right, okay, so here we have Palantir Technologies. I think very, very good run up for Palantir in the past few months, consistently beating their earnings expectations. The growth is still there for Palantir. But right now, I think over the last week or so, starting last week, we actually saw that $190 resistance was tested. Unfortunately, did not manage to break through, and we actually saw sellers actually come back and push prices back towards the immediate support of about 150, where previously, it had rebounded from previously was also a resistance. I think pretty much, in the nearer term, this is one of the key levels that many people are watching. So remember just now, Joey also mentioned like a long lower shadow. Yep, this can also be spotted right here for Palantir. I think 2 days ago, we have a green candle that has a long lower shadow, and buyers actually came back to push prices higher than when it actually opened. I think that so far is looking like a good sign, where the 150 level is still looking to be holding. This is a good thing because this is still pretty much aligned with our longer term moving averages right here. All right, the 100 days and 200 days, that blue color and red color line. But that 20 days moving average, just let me zoom in a little bit. Evelyn, can you see that this 20 days moving average is already starting to flatten out? Previously, of course, it was heading higher, it was going higher. And then after that profit taking came in, it started to flatten out. So definitely we see that 150 level still being respected. Prices rebounding from this 150 level back towards the 190 level. Yes, then maybe we can see that 20 days moving average start to go up higher again. But I think as of now, if that 150 level doesn't hold, then definitely this one will start to point down, start to gently slope down. Yeah. So I think if you are looking for an entry, perhaps a level to take note of will be that 150 level. You want to have some alerts being set up if that 150 level is coming close, or if it's broken. Because of course, if it's broken, you do not want to get in. Then your next support area will be about that 130 level, where prices previously had tested as well. So definitely, if we were to turn on that 1GT at buy and sell signal right here, let me turn it on. Yep, we can see a 1GT bearish signal actually coming in. So if we just take a step back, let's see from that first 1GT signal that came in on the 15th of April up to the one 3 days ago, that's a pretty modest 70% gain already. So imagine if you got in here, you got out after you saw that 1GT bearish signal come in, that is already a 70% gain. So with that 1GT bearish signal still present, I think Evelyn, maybe do not have to rush in first. Let's monitor for a few days, because I think there's a symposium, the Jackson Hole Symposium, that is carrying on this evening. you do not want to be caught in a situation where prices can actually break back down, due to negative news about interest rate as well. So I think take a backseat for a while. Let's see if prices still respect that 150 level. We see a rebound or maybe a consolidation close to that 150 level and starting to head up. Yes, I think that's when you could position yourself for an entry right there to ride the next leg of that uptrend towards 190 first, right? If that 190 gives way, yes, then definitely above 200, maybe even the 230 level could be the next target level. But of course, we want to be a bit more careful. If that 150 level is broken, maybe we'll see another 1GT bearish. Prices head back down to 130 as well. So if I were to just turn on that trailing support and resistance line, you can see on this day right here that trailing support was broken and we had that 1GT bearish signal. All right, right now that trailing resistance level is right around very close to that 190 level that I've drawn. So let me just delete this first. So if we were to break above that 190 level, yes, we can say the uptrend could be resuming. Buying interest could come back. We could see another 1GT bullish signal appear right there. All right, so I think that is for Palantir. Just take a back seat. Let's see if it is able to rebound first. All right, Evelyn. Okay, so pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so let me share my screen. All right. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be from Rajan. Rajan, hope you are still here. You're asking about PayPal, right? And you mentioned that you're holding from 64. So advice to hold, buy or sell. That's a very common question, right? When you're holding on to a stock, you are thinking whether is it time to take profit, is it time to add more, or should I just sell it away, right? Okay, so first thing first, for PayPal, as you can see over here, we are just first thing we look at the trend first, okay? We look at the trend first before I even turn on the signals, right? So when we look at the trend, like what Joey and Bervyn have discussed earlier on, we always look at the moving averages. So just we are purely looking at the moving averages, right? What can we tell from this? Number one, short-term trend is down, right? Green is definitely pointing down, right? And we see that the longer-term trend, the red and the blue line, the red line is 100 days moving average, by the way. The blue line is 200 days moving average. The red line and the blue line, they are kind of like going just sideways, right? But just look back a couple of months, somewhere in May, right, we actually see this thing happening. The red actually crossed below the blue line. So that is not so good, right? Because the thing is that when we think about buying, we think about uptrend. We want to buy in an uptrend. And ideally, what we want to look out for is moving averages that are looking like this. Green above the red, above the blue. But in such a situation, at this point in time, not so ideal because number one, your green is pointing down. And number two, your blue is actually above your red. Okay, so that's just purely about the trends, right? So we know that the trend not that great at this point in time. Okay, and then next we move on and we look at some of the levels that we should take note of. Number one, we can see that the support level, I would say the immediate support level will be around this 66, because back over here we can actually see that this level was actually tested a few times somewhere in March, about a couple of weeks. It actually broke down, and then after that it broke out above this, managed to hold above it since May, right? And then somewhere in June, it was actually retested again somewhere near it, and then over the past couple of weeks, right, since the start of August, this was where earnings result came out, prices gapped down, and prices actually retested this 66 once again. So that's where it seems like buyers have been coming back in to actually support the price near this 66 level right over here, right? And in terms of resistance wise, I think resistance at this point in time, it will be around this 76. Why? Because back in September 2024 to February, right, this was where prices was holding above as a support. It was tested as a support, as you can see. I circle over here multiple times before it actually broke down, right? Then since February until somewhere before the earnings came out, it attempted to break above it once again near the 76 once it was resisted, but unable to. Price gap down, and this is where we are at. So as of last night, we can see that price actually closed at about 67.55. It is still holding above the 66, right? So now I think one of the key levels for Rajan, right, for you to actually watch out for would be the 66. Whether can it still continue to actually hold above the 66? Okay, so let me just very quickly turn on the buy and sell signals. Okay, so we have discussed about the trend with the moving average and some of the levels, the support and resistance, immediate support and resistance. And when I turn on the signal, what we can see is that there is not one, but two 1GT bearish signal coming out. One over end of July and the one is at start of August. So not that good also lah. So when we actually see a 1GT bearish signal, what does it mean, right? It doesn't mean that the stock will crash because obviously it didn't crash lah, right? But it just means that there is more selling pressure returning. But over the past couple of weeks, we see some buying interest returning back at the 66. So to reaffirm again and to reconfirm again that this 66, right, I think will be definitely one of the levels that you want to watch out for, because if prices is unable to hold, right, and it breaks below this 66, I think definitely we might see more weakness, right, returning back to this counter, returning to where I think one of the potential support level that we can take note of would be around this 56 lah. Okay, but I think the next thing is, you know, if you are thinking about like buying, right, probably what we want to monitor for is more confirmation lah. I mean, we don't want to buy when there's a 1GT bearish signal. We want to buy when there's a 1GT bullish signal. And plus the fact that we want to look out for the 20 days moving average, right? The short term, don't point down lah. Continue. If it continue to point down, not so good, right? It just means that there's more weakness. What we want to see is, you know, for it to at least flatten out and show some signs of it pointing back up. And if we can get another 1GT bullish signal, great, right? That's where we can potentially, you know, think about maybe adding a bit more positions. But at this point in time, not yet, because of all the signals that we have just seen, right? And you're thinking about selling if prices is actually, you know, over the next couple of weeks, it's actually able to hold above this 66, and you know, you can go sideways like this, right? Somewhere near this 76, right? This is the resistance that we have mentioned, the immediate resistance. This is where you can also consider, you know, to actually take some profits, because there's nothing wrong to actually take some profits near the resistance level. Okay. So with that, those are some of the levels that Rajan you can potentially take note of, and you know, to watch out for some of the, you know, signals that we wanna watch out for, such as the moving average and the 1GT bullish signal, before we consider to actually take more action. All right. So that will be for PayPal. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. Let's move on very quickly to the next one, and that would be from Clement. And first of all, guys, I want to kind of like thank you guys as well for, you know, when you type in the stocks in the chat, right, you actually give us quite a little bit of context. So very good. You can see, guys, we will be prioritizing, right, those who give us a bit more context about the stock that you're asking about, rather than just one name, right? You give us a bit of context or a bit of effort, you know, type in what price you buy, that kind of thing. All right, like Rajan and Clement as well, right? When that's where we will give you more priority. Right? So thank you so much for doing that. I think that will help us to give a better, I would say, more concrete or kind of like a more personalized kind of opinion to you lah. All right, Ken? Okay, Clement, let's take a look at the next stock, and that would be CrowdStrike, right? Good morning, right? So you bought CrowdStrike, bought CrowdStrike at $407, right? $407, okay, in February. So you bought in February, so probably over here lah, somewhere here. So it went up, down, then up, then down. Okay, later, then we can see maybe you could have taken some profit lah. Okay, never mind. So we bought 407. However, short-term weakness observed in the last month. Yes, indeed. Any stop loss level right now? Not right now. In fact, I think last week already should get out a bit, right? Okay, let me just go to analyze it for you right now, Clement. So you can see this is CrowdStrike. Okay, I tell you what, let's just keep it simple. As I say, I can turn these bullish and bearish signals on in seconds. 1, 2, 3, pam. And let's see, okay? So this is CrowdStrike, all right? But I don't know about you, but you can see that every time when we get bearish signal, pam, that was in July last year. There we go, all the way down. And then bullish signal coming out. That was in September. Another one in October, all right? Another one, go out even faster, all right? And we saw the rally from here all the way up. 74%. And then what? Two bearish signal come out again, right? Pump. Seems like these are always like, I think seems like that you like to do like two bearish signal from here, you know, like to come out. Then after it starts going down again, right? So I think you got in February, maybe around here, 407, maybe around here, maybe around here. So by right should not, because we got bearish signal, all right? Don't rush in when you get a bearish signal, right? That's the first thing. And the next thing is that we want to wait for a reversal to come back in, all right? So if you've got in over here, maybe better, all right? That will be a more confirmation. Look at this, right? So we got bullish signal coming back. That was in May. Another one as well coming out in 27th of May. It went up even faster, all right? So based on these two bullish signals, the rally, right? all the way up to the bearish signal coming out. I would say a 22%, all right? Not a lot, 22% in about 2 months. It's still okay, still okay, right? But let's take a look, because I mean, you asked me whether that, hey, short-term weakness observed, any stop loss level right now. So I think you want to have a plan. You want to have a plan. So for example, if you see bullish signals coming out and the price goes up by 10%, 15, 20, 30, 40%, right? And then you see a bearish signal, right? Then it's good to take some profit and get out, all right? So did the bearish signal actually came out? Yes, all right? So we got a bearish signal coming out, not yesterday or last week, I think since like 31st July, all right, which is like last week, all right? So, it came out at like 458. So if you have gotten, know about this bearish signal, then you probably got 45 something lah, right? But now become 414 already. All right. So need to have a plan to get out. So what happens is that for this 1GT Pro indicator, all right, we are able to set an alert. Set an alert such that right click, set an alert such that if there are any bearish or even bullish, so one good trend pro, buy or sell alert, once per bar, create. All right. There we go. So, and a bearish signal comes out, we will be alerted. So, maybe, Clement, you can find out later as to how perhaps you could have access to this tool as well, the light version of it for free, test drive it for free, all right? And it could alert you to get out, all right? To get out when the time comes. So you can see if you got out 458, you would have saved quite a bit of money, all right? But I think based on your question, you probably have not got out, okay? Any stop loss level right now, right? So let's say you never get out. Not let's say that, but you never get out, okay? And then you went down now to 414, all right? Any stop loss level? Well, I would say that quite clearly there would be some selling in the short term. We got a bearish signal coming out. The green line that was going up, still turning down. Don't you bluff yourself, it's down, right? It is confirmed still pointing down, right? So we might still see selling. I'm not too sure to where. It could be to near 400, it could be 380, it could be 360, it could be 350. I don't know, right? So hopefully we can see some support coming back, maybe near the 400. Look at this, 400 would be a psychological. That was where we got a bullish 1GT signal when we broke the 400 and all the way up, right? So I think 400, hopefully, I don't know, right? But hopefully we can hold above the 400, right? So you've got it at 407. So because you did not get out, so you come back down to the almost same price, still making a bit of money, right? So what happens is, if you have got out right previously, that would be good. Then maybe now you can think about getting in again, if we hold above that 400 level. And what happens is that what could you look up for? For those of you who are looking to buy this stock, since Clement is sharing about getting out, but perhaps I could share with you guys as well. Assuming Clement has got out previously, right? He saw this bearish signal, he got out. From 407, you saw at 45 something, right? Sure make, okay? Then you can think about getting in again, right? And what would get you to get back in again? Well, not now, all right? Haven't come out yet. When you see the bullish signals coming out, right? Something over here, right? Look at this. Pump, right? Same thing, pump, all right? So I don't know whether you come here or here, but doesn't make sense, right? When it comes out, that would be a confirmation to potentially think about getting in. Doesn't mean come out means anyhow buy. We want to wait for more confirmations, like maybe the green 20 days moving average line that was going down. Right? Same thing here. Down. Another confirmation. So now this green line, obviously you can see that it is pointing down. Still down. So I'm not too sure whether you go flare and then you right? So if that happens plus a bullish signal, don't you think that could be a good signal to think about getting in again? All right. And then for Clement, if that happens, good lah. Right. That is where you could potentially ride the reversal back up again. But this time, take note, you don't want to know when to get out as well. You don't want to ride it all the way up, then come back down back to square one. Does it make sense so far? All right. So that's what we are looking out for. Right. So I would say for CrowdStrike, 400 will be a psychological support level for now. Hopefully that holds. Hopefully we see some stability above it. Right. Some bullish reversal, candlestick pattern coming out. Maybe a bullish signal. Maybe the short-term trend turning up. I think that would probably be something like what we've seen previously in April, even in August last year. That could lead the next phase of reversal. Hasn't come out yet, but that's exactly what we're looking out for. Of course, I've set an alert. If a bullish signal comes out, I can be alerted as well. All right, so that will be for CrowdStrike. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, let me throw my screen up right here. All right, just now I saw Chong. Morning, Chong. So you bought UnitedHealth. Bought at about $300. What is the trend of the counter? Okay, just let me quickly cover it. So I think for UnitedHealth, very unfortunate series of unfortunate events. We have started to see the longer term moving average have actually started to slope downwards. Already not a first good sign. Previously came close to the $600 mark, and then prices very swiftly sold down to half of its market cap already, close to the $300 level. This is in a span of 4 months. So I think after that $375 resistance, or right now resistance, previously a support was broken, prices kept down further, broke below that 320 level, found a little bit of a support right around that 280 level right here, but did not manage to hold. I was consolidating for a while, but did not manage to hold, and prices eventually broke down further towards that 230 to 225 level. Yeah. So if you can do a forecast, just here downwards, it will work as well. So a downward trend, you can also do a forecast right there. But in the nearer term, see a little bit of a mixed signal. Why? Is because we have the 20 days moving average pointing up, but the longer term moving average is still pointing down. So the longer term trend, or the longer term perspective, is still seeing some weakness. So we tend to do not want to get in on a longer term downtrend, because we do not want to trade against the general trend, right? So, but it's okay. You have already bought it, and you bought close to $300, which means right now maybe you are maybe break even if you include some of your brokerages. But I think in the nearer term, you can see a little bit of a resistance towards that 320 level, where sellers have previously came back in to push prices back down. So this is a level you want to take note. It is completely okay if you are able to secure some profit, reduce a little bit of the exposure when prices approach that 320 level, right? It's because this could be a level where selling actually come back in, right? And the longer term trend do not show that there is a possibility of it breaking above, right? So I think right now, if I turn on the 1GT buy and sell signal, we have a 1GT buy signal right here. But like what Joey have mentioned, once we see a buy signal, we don't immediately go and buy. We want to come back and check on the remaining of the trend as well, get that further confirmation. So I think right now the only other confirmation is that 20 days moving average is pointing up. So I think Chong, you want to just be a little bit more careful, have a stop loss level, just let me just turn on the trailing support right here, just under that 280 level, perhaps about that 260 265 level. You want to have a stop loss level, all right? Although now you are sitting on a level of profits or break even, but if prices come down, you do not want it to continue heading lower and lower and lower. That will be extending your losses. We want to extend our gains, not extend our losses. So if prices approach that 320 level, maybe that's where you can reduce some exposure. And if prices are able to break above, so we just trading between these 280 to 320, break above, break higher, I think towards that 275 level where it was back then in May, it had tested this level. I think that could be the next level to watch out for. So what I will do, Chong, is to actually just set up some alerts for yourself. Set up some alerts. Just now Joey showed you that you can actually set up a 1GT buy or sell alert. I think you should set up another one, because if you receive any 1GT bearish signal, you want to get out. And if you receive any 1GT bullish signal, you can actually come in, set a higher target, put a trailing stop loss, or shift your stop loss higher to protect those profits that you have already have. And perhaps another alert right here above that 320 level, maybe about that 325 level. You just get yourself alerted if that 320 resistance is actually broken. So actually all of these this 1GT bullish bearish signal can be just turned on in just one tick, right here by yourself. This to just give yourself a quick opinion, right? But if you want access, or if you want access to this 1GT indicator, Joey I think has very kindly provided a light version for you guys to actually trial it for 14 days. So I think that is a very good indicator, or very good simplification of your chart analysis. And on top of that, you still get to join Joey's community on Facebook as well. So I think Z, can you kindly help me to put the link for the 1GT light indicator in the chat so that if anybody is interested, just get on it very quickly, fill it out. I think take less than 30 seconds to actually do it. All right, Chong, so this is for UNH. I think be a little bit more careful. You have a current position, you want to have a plan in place if the trade goes sideways or goes in your favor. You can even extend your gains. All right, so I'll pass the time now to Z to actually cover the next stock for you guys.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be from Ray. Ray is asking about CELH, right? Celsius Holding. You mentioned that you bought at 34.74, and I think this is one of the stocks that probably either Joey or myself we have covered a couple of times back in our AMAS US session as well. And for this stock, right, it is pretty beautiful, right, in terms of the trend, because if we look at this, right, it seems like it is an uptrend reversal that is actually playing out, right? Because previously, if we just zoom out a little bit, right, based on last year, we can actually see, prices, there's this very classic thing that is going on, which is like a double top, right? It's like a McDonald's sign, right? And then it actually broke down, and then we started to see, downtrend forming, and it seems to be, pointing back up again. Price action has been slowly going back up with the confirmation of the moving averages, right? So if I were to zoom into just this year, don't need go so far, just zoom into this year, what we can actually see is that, the first thing first, the 20 days moving average has also started to point out, and it has crossed above both the longer term moving average. That's number one. And number two, the longer term trend, right, has also confirmed that it has turned into an uptrend, whereby the 100 days, the red line, has also crossed above the blue line, right over here somewhere in early June, right? And right now, what we are seeing is that all three moving averages are actually pointing up. 1, 2, 3, right? And it's in the correct sequence whereby what we want to look out for in an uptrend. Green above the red, above the blue. So I would say for this counter, it seems pretty bullish at this point in time, right? Plus, based on the signals itself, we don't just have one, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 consecutive 1GT bullish signal, right? So that's not too bad, right? That's not too bad in terms of this particular stock itself. And yesterday, what we can see is that price actually closed at 62.07, right? And it seems like it has just broken above the resistance level, right? I think the resistance level previously was at $60. It was one of the psychological level, because back in Q3 of 2023, right over here, right, you see the entire Q3, right, prices have just been testing this level, right? And $60, it was actually one of the resistance lah. It has been testing this, unable to break above somewhere in March, right? Somewhere in March, February, March over here. It actually managed to break above it, managed to hold above it for about 2 quarters, right? Until June, July, before it actually broke down. So I would say $60 would be one of the immediate support level at this point in time, based on the price action over the past couple of days. It has broken above this $60, turning this $60 into what we call a new higher support level lah. Okay, new higher support level. And of course, based on the price action previously, we all know that this M right over here, right, this McDonald's sign right over here, $100 is actually the resistance, right? It's actually the resistance. But of course, from now to 100 is still pretty far away, right? So I would say the immediate resistance, right, the immediate resistance for Ray, if you are thinking of taking some profits, right, perhaps will be around this $70 right over here, this $70, because this is what we actually call a neckline lah for the double top. Okay, right over here, $70. And the other thing is that what I noticed is when price actually consolidated, right, over the past couple of months from June to August, right over here, you can see that actually this range is also pretty much about the same. It's also pretty much about the same as what you can actually project it upwards, right over here, right? So I think it's probably about $10 range that we can potentially see if prices manage to continue to able to hold above this $60 and head up higher. I think there's nothing wrong for prices to actually consolidate before pushing up higher. I think that would make this uptrend reversal even more solid and even more sustainable lah. Okay, so if you are thinking of taking some profits, I think somewhere near the 70, nothing wrong to actually take some profits. Don't have to take the full profits. Maybe you can take partial profits, or maybe one third of your position. That is fine as well. Okay. And the other way that you can also make use of this 1GT indicator is to actually turn on the trading support and resistance function. So once I turn it on, this actually comes out, right? So this trading support, if you have attended our AMAS multiple times, what we have been saying is that this trading support actually follows and trails the prices as it moves up, right? But at the same time, it also accounts for the stock volatility, right? Every stock got different volatility lah. So this accounts for the stock volatility, giving the stock room to actually breathe. So as you can see, since the first 1GT bullish signal came out in February, prices have been going up, then it goes sideways, go up, go sideways. So it keeps trailing the prices as it goes up. And you can actually make use of this trading support effectively, right? By helping you to protect your profit, right? To protect your profit. So what you can do is that, you can also consider to actually place a stop limit order, slightly below the trading support, right? Somewhere around here, to actually protect your profits while the stock continue to trend upwards, right? Then you can continue, to shift your stop limit order up to protect even more profit. Because you mentioned that you bought at about 34, right? So let's see, 34.70 something, right? So agak somewhere around here, all the way to where we are at now, you are sitting on about 77% profits. So don't do anything. At least take steps to actively protect your profits. Rather than you don't do anything, if one day something happen, or like there could be some news about the company, or Trump were to say something and then prices were to reverse. Then after that, if things were to happen like that and you don't do anything, then you go back to square one. That's not what we want now. Okay? So actually, best is to actually take steps to actively protect your profits, and you can actually do so by actually make use of the trading support function as well. Okay, so that would be for Celsius. I think this is this stock look pretty good, I would say, at this point in time. It's definitely still in my watch list as well, and this is some of the levels that perhaps where you can actually monitor. All right, so that would be for Celsius. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. I think Zee shared really well on this company called Celsius, one of the stocks in our watch list, right? So I think you can see Ray that we had a couple of bullish signals coming out, right? Bullish signal coming out, and it starts running up, right? It starts running up. There's no bearish signal, so why do you want to cut your profits short, right? So let it go, let it ride, but don't just do it blindly and then after 5 years later log in and check no right? You take steps to protect your profits as it moves even higher until a bearish signal comes out. So I think what Bervyn have shared just now, we actually have this 1GT light chart. Let me just go to share my screen right now, all right, and show you guys what we've been using would be the One Good Trend Pro indicator, all right. But what happens is that you can test drive my One Good Trend light indicator, right, the light version for free, right. So that is a simpler version, all right, that allows you to turn on the buy and sell signals of the bullish and bearish green and red signals in seconds together with the moving averages, and gives you an opinion in seconds on any stocks, on any asset class. So the link is right in the chat again. Click on it. You'll come to this page right over here. Most incredible free gift ever in the stock market. So I think you could use it as a guide as well, Ray, to guide you to get out if you see a bearish signal. All right. And of course, by test driving this one GT light indicator as well, you get $3,997 worth of pure trading, right? For free, just for saying maybe, just for testing it out, right? So this is what I'll do for you. Test drive this 1GT light indicator. The link is already in the chat, all right? Okay, very good. So now let's move on to the very next stock, and let's see. Okay, so right over here, I would say that this would be RKLB, right? Pongi, I hope you're still over here. Can do RKLB, and that would be Rocket Lab Corporation. All right, I buy some at 47.74. Okay, very good. So you bought maybe just a week ago. All right, 47.74. Now it's 41. All right, 44. So went down a bit. Okay. They signed some contract. Okay, I don't know what contract they signed. Never really followed this stock, but I mean, very clearly you can see based on this chart right over here, I've turned on the bullish and bearish signal. Palm gone. All right, palm on again, right? You get an opinion in seconds, okay, Ken? So let me go to analyze it before I guide you on what you can do, Pongi, all right? So very quickly, you can see that for Rocket Lab, right? I'll not go too far, but I mean, you guys can see yourself, right? Palm, we got bullish signals coming out in August last year, 2 more coming out in September, then wow, some more, all right? And there we go, right? So if you have been guided to get in based on these bullish signals, and then you see a bearish signal, 316%, right? 316%, right? In about 6 months. So when you see a bearish signal, I think 300% just stick first. I mean, why you want to hold it all the way down, right? So that's where you want to get up, right? And then, of course, after like 2 months later, we got bearish signal, went sideways, went down a bit, right? We found a support, And then another bullish signal come back. Another one went up even faster. How many percent this time? The time was 300. Now it's like all the way to the recent bearish signal. This one only 100 plus, only like 117%. All right, lesser than the 300. All right, but can you guys see that? When you get a bullish signal plus some confirmation, that is where it led the rally. Right, 300, 100%. All right, and that's the gains you can write, right? To kind of like maximize your profits as the trend reverses. Does it make sense, All right. And of course, when you see a bearish signal, so I think you mentioned, Pongi, that you bought at 47.74. So I think maybe you bought like last week or something. Probably wouldn't want to buy because we got a 1 GT bearish signal coming out. So when we see a bearish signal, normally you want to be a bit more cautious, right? Why? Because after going up by more than 100%, you see a bearish signal. That's where some selling can come back, right? If I can turn on the trailing support line to show you what I mean, right? There we go. So the bullish signal came out. A trailing support popped up that followed this Rocket Lab Corporation as it moved up, right? It was like about 20 over dollar, and then it went up 20, go until 40. We follow until over here. When you follow, you give the space, right? The breathing space, the volatility space. It stays above it, fine, no problem. Slowly go up, no problem. You continue, okay? But you give it the space, and one fine day it go below the space, something not so good. Like so you can see, we actually went below, just slightly went below the trailing support, and that triggered the 1 GT bearish signal. So a little bit of selling. In fact, there's a pretty bearish candle that came up on Tuesday as well. All right, so slightly a bit more bearish for now. Plus, you look at the green line, right? That was going up since like May, right? Since like last week, I think when you bought the green line, also point down, right? So buy, right? Should not go and buy because we're seeing a bit of a weakness in the short-term trend. Right? Even though the longer term trend, so longer term trend, no problem. Look at the red and blue line, that one no problem. Okay, that one is fine. But even though the longer term trend is up, like the red and blue one, no problem. But the short term trend is down, right? So we want to also wait until the short term trend down, until cannot down already, right? Stabilize, right? Start to reverse, right? Then we get back in, then we can pump. Does it make sense? Right? But now I would say that a bit of weakness. I'm not too sure exactly where it will go, but potentially support hopefully near 40, right? $40. It seems like some buying pressure is coming back. We saw a bit of a bullish candle, but if 40 were to break down, unfortunately, we may head towards the next support level, maybe all the way to that 35. You can see that was where it was a resistance pump. We broke above. So 35 to 40. I'm not too sure exactly where, but if we hit over there, the green line that obviously is still pointing down, maybe stop pointing downwards like that, then watch out, right? If it, but if it starts to flatten out a little bit like that, and then like this, like over here, that you can see something like this. If you can take, maybe we can try right? You can take this and from here go down, flat, then it starts to point up like that, right? Does it make sense? Let's say I take from here and I copy and paste here. Something like that. Does it make sense so far? That is, if that happens, the green line like that, and you see a bullish signal like over here. Now I take this one, right? I take this one, then I take and I copy and paste over, maybe over here. That could guide you to get back in again. Does it make sense? All right. So that's what I'm watching out for, but haven't yet, right? So this is Rocket Lab. I hope that gives you a bit of an opinion. All right. Hopefully we see some stability above 40. If that holds, still okay, but we want to wait for more confirmation for that reversal to actually happen. All right, so that is for Rocket Lab Corporation. So as I say, guys, if you want to find a little bit more in terms of to test drive the one good trend lights indicator. So you can see right over here, we are using Bervyn and Zee, where we are going to, analyzing your stocks. We are using the one good trend pro indicator, all right? A little bit more advanced, a little bit more advanced stuff. We have more features and stuff. You want to find out about that, you can attend a free webinar, but we don't have any webinars planned for now. So you can go, we'll let you know, if you're on our email list and stuff, or you can join us our Friday weekly AMAS. We'll let you know when any webinar is ready. But what happens is that if you want to test drive the light version, not the pro, right? You can't test drive the pro, right? So you want to test drive the light version, well, that's where it's a simpler version. You can just simply turn on the bullish and bearish signal. You got one box right over here and the 3 moving averages as well. So the rest of the more advanced features will not be available. Does it make sense, Bob? All right, so the link's right in the chat, check it out. And I hope that can help you to maybe think about getting in the game when the time comes, all right? Or maybe to get out, right? If you see a bearish red 1 GT signal. All right, so that will be for Rocket Lab. Then pass on the mic to Bervyn, all right, to cover the next US stock.
Thanks, Joey. All right, okay, so let's see right here. I think Augustine. Hi, good morning. So I just want to please cover ticker symbol PANW Palo Alto. Holding long term, bought around 170. Holding long term, but bought recently or bought a while back already, because I think now prices are quite close to 170 as well. So I think let's take a look at Palo Alto. I think pretty much since last year it's been kept in a range of that 160 all the way going up to its high of about 210. That's a 28% range. Not much movement, just moving sideways within this range until now. It is still there, but we have that 100 days and 200 days moving average, converging, but that 100 days moving average still under that 200 days moving average. Ideally, we want to see that uptrend, something like this, right? We want to see the red above the blue, the green above the red, but I think right now, because it is consolidating within the range, we just see that 100 days, 200 days moving very, very close to each other. A little bit of weakness actually come in the past month or so, where prices actually sold back down from that 210 level once again. So I mean, previously sold down, came close, sold down, sold down. I think as of right now, if we zoom in a little bit closer, that key support is about that 160 to 165 level, but perhaps we could find a temporary support right around that 180 level. In fact, at 180 level, maybe we can find a little bit of a support right here. Let me just draw this line out. Yeah, we can find a little bit of that support. Prices previously tested, was not really able to hold above this level, came back down, rebounded from that 160 level, headed back up higher. That is where also that 20 days moving average is right around as well. I think a little bit of a long lower shadow for that candlestick yesterday. So I think as of close, yes, we see a little bit of buyers come back in, but not able to close above the opening price as of now. We can see a little bit of strength from there, but we currently still see that 1 GT bearish signal. All right, that 1 GT bearish signal still valid. So I will just turn on that trailing support and resistance line. We can see that trailing resistance actually headed lower as prices headed lower, very similar to that trailing support heading higher as prices headed higher. Right now, that trailing resistance is about that 190 level. Prices 3 days ago came close to it, wasn't able to break above it. So I think 190 to maybe about that 190 to about 192 level could be a temporary resistance as well. I think prices came close to it, so we want to actually also just watch out for this level. So Augustine, I think you can set up some others. I think you should set up some others. In fact, if prices break above that 190, just get yourself alerted, and I think that uptrend or that 20 days moving average, the nearer term momentum, nearer term uptrend would resume as well. Yeah. So I think for Palo Alto, looking like their consolidation is continuing. Nothing surprising going on just yet. I think a break above that 210, yes. Then I think that next leg to the uptrend can continue as well. So I think this is a very, very quick one for Palo Alto, just a few key levels to actually watch out for, right, Augustine? Pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be by MK. MK, I hope you're still here, MK. Okay, so you're asking about Surf Robotics. Not too sure what this company does, but I believe it's robotics based on the name, okay? And then you bought at $10.30. You said long-term and short-term review. Okay, so let's take a look at this stock. So one thing that I just saw this stock because I didn't really follow this stock, but then it didn't really have much data, and I just realized that they actually got uplisted from I think last time it was in OTC, then it got uplisted to Nasdaq. So that's why there isn't much of a data compared to the other stocks available, but it's enough, right? It's enough for us to actually have a view and have an opinion on the trend based on the moving averages lah. Okay, so let's take a look at this for Surf Robotics, right? As of last night, it actually closed at $9.25, and very recently we got a 1 GT bullish signal coming out just 2 days ago, right, on the 20th of August. right? And the thing is that for the moving averages, right, if we take a look at the moving averages, right, what we can see is that, okay, let me just turn this off first, right? Okay, what we can see based on the moving averages is that the longer term trend, right, the red and blue line, they are kind of like just sloping sideways, right? They are just kind of like heading sideways. But the short term trend, what we are seeing is that it did went up after, the April sell down, and then it actually went point up, but then it started to flatten out, go down, and now it is currently still pointing down. So I would say short term trend, not that great, right? Not that great. Longer term trend is kind of like just heading sideways. And plus, when I turn on the signals, right, what we can see is also a 1GT bearish signal. So it actually coincides with the fact that there is some short-term selling returning to this particular counter. All right. And in terms of the support level, right, I would say based on the available data that we have, I think $5 is actually one of the psychological support level that perhaps you might want to set some price alert to actually take note of as well, because this $5, right, as you can see, right over here, somewhere in July of 2024, this was where prices was actually kept below, right, after it got uplisted to NASDAQ, and then attempted to actually break above it, unable to, until somewhere in July. That was when prices really flew up, right? Prices really flew up, and then we got a 1GT bullish signal as well, broke above the $5, managed to hold above it since then, since July 2024, all the way to where we are at right now. But throughout that whole period, it was actually tested a couple of times. The most obvious one would be this right over here, somewhere in April, right? With the tariff announcement, and that was when all the sell down happened throughout the market, and this was where buyers came in, right, around this $5 mark to actually support the prices. It didn't let it break below. It managed to support the prices. Buyers came in to support it and push prices back up. And I would say in terms of currency, right, based on price action right now, the immediate resistance, I would say, will be somewhere around the $14, maybe to about this $15 right over here, right over here. So this was where, somewhere in May, this was where we actually saw, prices actually neared it a couple of times with long upper shadows, but unable to, really touch that level, right? So I would say this would be the immediate maybe resistance that you want to take note of. If prices is able to play it sideways and, slightly slope up, then this is where you can also consider to actually, lock in some profits near the resistance level, maybe around $14 to about the $15, the potential sell zone that we are looking at. All right. But I think right now, you mentioned that you bought at about $10.30, right? And right now probably you're sitting on some small losses, because prices is at $9.25. So do have a trading plan in place as to where you are thinking of wanting to stop loss, okay? Because I'm not too sure when you actually bought it, maybe somewhere earlier, a couple of months over here. And by right, when you actually enter, you already need to have a trading plan in place, which includes a stop loss, right? So if perhaps you have entered somewhere around here, this is where the trailing support is at. And based on the trailing support, we can actually use it to help us by placing the stop loss order, right? To protect your downside, to manage your downside. So by right, if you have gotten in somewhere around $10.30 a couple of months back, right over here, right, $10.30, and we should actually have a stop loss plan slightly below the trading support. So perhaps maybe when the 1GT bullish bearish signal come out, probably on that day you have already gotten out of the position. But at this point in time, I think right now, we potentially could be seeing more short-term weakness, because the 20 days moving average, it is still pointing down, right? What we want to look out for is for it to actually stop pointing down first and to at least go sideways. So that all three moving averages, if they are heading sideways, then potentially what we might see could be a sideways consolidation happening. Okay, so that would be a very quick one on Surf Robotics, some of the levels that perhaps you can take note of, but also just remember to have a stop loss plan in place to manage your downside. All right, so that would be for Surf Robotics. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much, Z. So let me go ahead to cover the next one. I think that would be a very popular stock that I think we get asked quite often on as well. But before I do that, let me go ahead to just do a quick run through of the stocks that we have covered so far. So right at the beginning, we covered the market, the S&P 500 index, all right? And the very first stock that I did was Broadcom, AVGO, all right? Bervyn went on to do Palantir, PLTR, PayPal, CrowdStrike, UnitedHealth, Celsius Holding, and then I did Rocket Lab Corporation, Palo, Alto Network, and Z just covered Surf Robotics. All right, so we have covered 9 stocks. Now will be the 10 stocks. Let's move on, and that will be none other than NVDA. NVIDIA. I think a lot of you are asking about NVIDIA, right? I think Ian thoughts on Meta, Palantir. So Palantir was covered. I will do NVDA. Nvidia, I think we have Bossa Nova as well. Nvidia, at what price to enter? No position. Now, thanks for giving me a bit of context, right? So we know that you're looking to get in. Maybe what are the potential entry zones you could think about getting in, or maybe you don't even enter, right? Maybe you want to be patient first, right? So let's go ahead to dive into Nvidia right now to find out. So Nvidia is $174. Very strong rally. Look at this, guys. Very strong rally. I'll not go too far, but I mean, you can see for yourself that quite clearly, we had a couple of bearish pump, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bearish signals since January. January, not even in April. April, we got another bearish signal. It went down, but since January, we got 5 bearish signal. And you know, I think we talked about it in our Ask Me Any Stock session as well. When people covered it, people asked about it, where, you know, you want to be a bit more careful. The short-term trend was turning down. We got not 1, not 2, but 3 or 4, 5 bearish signals coming up. We don't want to buy, right? We want to be more patient to get back in when there are signs of a reversal. Does it make sense of that? All right. And when did the reversal actually come? All right. So right over here, if you have got in, of course, you know, we were alerted to it as well. We set an alert. We were alerted to this as well. A 1 GT bullish signal coming out, 7th of May to be exact. All right. The short-term trend, the green line that was going down for like 3-4 months, started to point up as another confirmation. May, June, July. Let's take a look at the green line right now. I also don't know. Let's see. All right. So is the green line still pointing up? Not really, all right? So once the green line starts to flatten out, of course, the green line continue to point up and best, all right? But I can see that the green line, the 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend, has started to, I would say, flatten. It's not down also, right? But I would say it's flattening out. That means we are in some sort of a consolidation, all right? That means it's sideways movement, go up, go down, go up, go down, you know, between a resistance and what we call a horizontal support level. So what could be? So what happens is that when we see the green line flattening out, then we want to go ahead to draw some of those key resistance and support levels. So let me just go ahead to do it right now for you. You can see over here, I think that will definitely be a resistance. Now look at this, right? You can see one near it come down, touch here, come down, come down, come down. Right, for the past 2 weeks, every time you go there, come down. What level is that? 184, 185, right? So I think 185, let's just say 185, just to keep it a bit simple, 185. I think 185 would be what we call a horizontal resistance level for Nvidia for now, all right? For the past 2 weeks, we saw a couple of reversal, all right? A bit of bearish candles coming out there, and then we did pull back down. In fact, just 2 days back on Tuesday, in fact, on 3 days back on Tuesday, right? Quite a bearish candle, all right? And then we sold off, all right? So that would be a major psychological resistance to actually break above to potentially see the next phase of upside. So let's go ahead to draw another support level. So you can see for the past 2 weeks, we did see some support coming back. All right, let me just go to draw this support level. I would say maybe around the one. Look at this, right? From here, rebound. Over here, rebound. In fact, on Wednesday or so, we went down here. This is a pretty good bullish candle. It's pretty good bullish candle. Why? Because open, it went all the way down, you know, right? Just above the support, and buyers came back. It's a long lower shadow. Buyers came back and push it all the way back up. Right? This just shows buyers are starting to defend this stock as it approaches certain price level. Plus, it happens so near this support level around the 168 to 170. So I think right over here, I mean, just to keep it simple, maybe about 170, right away you can see touch, push back. So 170 to 185. That would be kind of like the consolidation range for now as the short-term trend starts to flatten out based on the green line that I mentioned, right? So if you kind of extrapolate these, right, to see if we break 185, right, what is the next upside? So from here you take, then you shift to here, and then what would it be? 200. So you can see right over here, it will be 200. So that would be 200 psychological resistance. Like if we were to break the 185, that could be the next upside target. So that's how we kind of like do a little bit of a projection from the current consolidation phase, and we project it upwards. So not saying that you go to 200 tomorrow, right? I mean, I'm just saying that if we break 185, that could be the next potential target that one could look out for. Okay, so you can see very quickly, right? Back to your question, at what price to enter? No position now. So very good, right? So this is a very good question. So of course, best if you have entered over here, I mean, based on this bullish signal, it was like about 120 like that. I mean, let's see how many percent. Let's assume you have got in here when you got alerted like us like that, from here all the way up to here, 51%, 51%, right? It should make one out, right? 51%, okay? Right, but of course, if never attend, then never entered previously, then never mind, right? We think about what could be a new potential entry zone. Of course, price is higher already, right? I don't know whether you'll go back down to 120, right? But it's much higher. Support has been higher as well, right? So what could be a new support level we could think about getting in? Well, I would say potentially near 170, as I mentioned. That's where buyers have come back out. All right, 170, 175, 172. That could be where we could see some bargain hunting. But doesn't mean you enter there means you just buy and then don't bother, don't just without a plan and stuff. You want to have a plan to get out, right? If a bearish signal comes out, if the green line, as I say, now the green line is flat, no problem. But I don't know whether next week or next week, then the green line start to like that, then of course you want to be careful. Then that's where we may even see a bearish signal coming out, right? That's where you want to plan to get out. Does it make sense? All right. Especially, you have gone in over here 55%, get out and take some profit, nothing wrong, right? What I could do is to turn on the trailing support to see where would the trailing support be as well, just to get another perspective, right? Let's turn it on. I can see, right away. So this trailing support, right, yes, popped up in May. So when it popped up, it was around that $100. 100 follow up, follow. Now become 168. Does it make sense, Sobah? So as Nvidia moves up over the past 3 months, this trailing support has followed it up while giving it the space to breathe, right? And allowing it to hopefully move even higher. So you can see, it kind of like coincides with what I've drawn, right? I don't know, I draw about 170, but I see it's about 168. So yeah, okay, fine, 168, 168, 170. As long as we stay above 168 to 170, still okay. We give it the space. In fact, 2 days ago, we used up the space and then rebound back up, we kind of push away from this trailing support level. Does it make sense, Ron? So I think it looks okay. We can stay above 168 to 170. That could be a potential entry zone with a plan to get out if, right, we were to go below the trailing support, if a bearish signal appears, if the short-term trend starts to turn down, that could all lead to more short-term downside. You see what I'm saying, Sabah? All right, so that would be for Nvidia. So I'm watching the 185. I think 185 level would to be broken. The resistance, this level right over here, would to be broken. We may even see a new 1GT bullish signal coming out, and that could lead the next phase higher as well. Okay, Ken? So that will be Nvidia. So Bervyn, back to you to cover the next stock.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, I think the next one I want to cover is actually quite interesting. First time I see someone asking this. Thomas is asking about UVIX, and then UVIX and UVXY can catch the bottom. Okay, so just let me throw it up. Okay, so you need to... Okay, so UVIX is actually an ETF that tracks the volatility. Okay, it's a VIX futures. The underlying is a VIX futures. So you can never ever, when somebody is thinking about buying the VIX, you can never ever catch the bottom. Why? It's because if you zoom out onto the chart, you zoom out, okay, zoom out. This is the bottom. The VIX can only, or the VIX ETF can only go lower. So this is a characteristics. If you are looking at any VIX ETF, it will only hit lower because of the contango nature. And then there is a time decay. So every day where time passes, prices will go lower and lower. So if you're trying to catch the bottom, congratulations, you are at the bottom. Okay, but here's the thing. If you are looking to get in on the VIX index, yes, you can see prices right here. Yeah, previously we can find a little bit of a support around the 25 level. Right now, prices is very close to that $14 level. We got a bunch of 1GT bearish signal coming in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 1GT bearish signal. I think this is a new record. I think Joey also never see 8 1GT bearish signal appear together before. All right. So this actually just shows, or it symbolizes the fear in the market. Right now, there is very little fear, or the fear has eased up a little bit, like what Joey had mentioned at the start of this AMAS session. The talks are underway. The Israel conflict is a bit muted right now, so market is rather calm. So you can see that the VIX will hit lower only during times where there could be a potential conflict. There is a tariff talk that might not go through. There is a new reciprocal tariff that come in. See, like sometime in April, right here, you can see the VIX shooting up. So the VIX or the VIX futures are a preemptive play. So it's quite hard for you to say, hey, you catch a bottom and you hold. Because why? Over a prolonged period of time, or you don't even need to be a very prolonged period of time, it will head lower. As long as you're holding it, it will head lower. So if you are holding for more than 1 week, it's more or less a likelihood of a guaranteed loss one, because you will never know what is going to happen the next week, what conflicts can happen the next week, what news can going to come in the next week as well. So Thomas, if you're looking at the VIX or the UVXY as well, just take note, many people just use it as a countermeasure if they are expecting their portfolio to have a little bit of fluctuation, all right, a little bit of volatility pulling back. They will get in the VIX to actually offset those losses. But if you're trying to fish bottom fish, I think quite may not be the right thing to do lah, because the VIX will just hit lower lah. Yeah. So this is something very interesting. Sorry.
Yeah, if I can just chime in a little bit, I think what Bervyn mentioned as well, guys, this is like 8. I've never seen 8. I think most 3, 4, 5, right? We have 8 bearish signals, right? So I mean, this is the VIX. It could be a stock, it could be the market, it could be anything, right? But the thing is that just to add on a little bit on what Bervyn mentioned, is that we never like to catch the bottom. All right, because nobody have any idea where the bottom is. So if you are just trying to catch the bottom, trying to pick the lowest point, the cheapest, that kind of thing, and you get in and go down cheaper, then you get in again and go down cheaper some more, all right, that's where you can be caught. So it's a little bit on the mindset. We try not to catch the bottom, because you are kind of like going against the not just the longer term trend, the short term trend is down, bearish signals are out, 8 are out, right? And then the trailing resistance is following it as it go down some more, all right? So a lot of things are all pointing down. So we never just want to go against the trend just because it's cheap. It's cheap, all right? So just want to add in a bit on the mindset. I think Bervyn has mentioned this part very, very well. All right, Bervyn, back to you.
All right. Okay. So actually, yep. So that is all. I think Thomas, just I mean, it's a very, very interesting thing that you are looking at the VIX. Yeah, but it's more like a counter mechanism. All right. So don't need to buy and hold the VIX. VIX is mostly a 1-day play, 2-day play. Yeah, nobody actually holds it for like a prolonged period of time, because imagine if you bought it 2024, $120, now it's $14. So just be a little bit careful of the mechanics lah. All right, okay. So I'll pass the time back now to Z to cover the next US stock. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Bervyn. That's a very interesting sharing session. Okay, let me just change my screen. And I think the next one, I'll be going back to a normal stock, normal tech stock, okay? So that will be by Johnson, and it is Micron Technology, right? MU. And Johnson, you are saying that, there's a 1GT signal and you are looking to buy. All right, so let's take a look at this, all right? Definitely, yes, you're right. There's a very recent 1GT signal, but I'm not too sure if you're actually holding on to any position, or maybe no position at all, and you are looking to get in, all right? But let's take a look at some of the levels, right? Before we take a look at some levels, maybe we take a look at the trend first, okay? Let me just turn off this signal so that it's a bit clearer. We just focus on the moving averages, okay? The moving averages. Moving averages, the trend since 2024, uptrend, right? After that, we started to see some weakness, selling pressure came back in. We see that the 20 days moving average has started to point out and even crossed below both longer term moving average. And that was when, somewhere in July last year, we started to see, the longer term moving average, right, started to point down, and generally it has kind of like looping down gently. And start of this year, right? I think not start of this year, I think somewhere in the middle of this year, like after Q2, right, that's where we started to see, the longer term moving average, right, started to flatten out over here. You see, it started to flatten out, and it has started to show some positive signs, right? Whereby at August, right, somewhere in August, early August, right, this was where the 100 days moving average crossed above the 200 days moving average. So the red crossed above the blue, and that is a positive sign that we want to see in the longer term trend, right? And in terms of the shorter term trend, of course, it did fluctuate up and down during the past year. So, it started to rally up, as the entire US market started to rally up after the initial Trump tariffs in April, right? Market, same thing. 20 days moving average started to point up. This was where in July we started to see some selling pressure returning. 20 days moving average started to point out, and very recently, we started to see some signs of the short term pointing up again, right? And it's aligning with both the longer term and the shorter term, all heading up. So that is actually a good sign, right? That is actually what we want to spot for in terms of trend when we are thinking about buying. So that is one thing, right? And the other thing is, yes, we use the 1GT bullish signal, right? We turn on the signal and we see that, there is a 1GT bullish signal. Okay, then it adds another layer of confirmation, right, as to why you are thinking or substantiating as to why you want to buy this into this stock, right? So this is another reason. And on top of that, the next thing that we want to look out for will be some of the levels, because we want to know where can you potentially position yourself for entry, and also where could your target be, right, when you're actually planning out your entire trading plan. So for now, as of last night, we actually saw that price closed at 115.79, right? It has some pullback. I mean, over the past couple of weeks, right, we actually see some pullback happening, and the resistance, very clearly, one thing very obvious is the resistance, right? I would say the immediate resistance would definitely be around this 130 right over here, right? One time, two times, tested, every time selling pressure came in to push the price back down. So same thing happened over the past couple of weeks, where we saw, prices actually approach this near the 130, selling pressure came in, push prices back down, and right now it's about 115, right? 115. And I would say for the support level, right, I think it will be somewhere near this 110, to maybe about this 112, around this zone, because this was where you see August, right, all the way to, June, right, this level was actually, this level, prices was actually kept below this level, and this entire month over here, from October all the way to March, right, I think about a 6-month period, prices consistently retest this 110, right? It was actually a resistance, right? So resistance, it retested this resistance many times over the past 6 months over this period, right? And eventually broke above it somewhere in June, and then came back down, retested it as a support level, but broke below it a couple of days, but then managed to rebound, right? Buyers came in to support, managed to rebound, and now it's still holding above the 110. So I think near this 110, right, this is one of the support zones that we are actually looking at, and this is where you can also potentially position yourself for entry, because one thing that I can also turn on would be the trading support, right? Once I turn it on, we can see that actually right now, right, it's very close to the trading support level as well, right? And that is where we want to, potentially position ourselves for entry and look for potential entries near the support zone, right? But of course, that being said, right, if you do decide to actually enter, of course, do also have your trading plan in place to manage your downside, because if prices were to not be able to hold above this 110, and then it breaks below it, that is where we actually see more weakness returning back to the counter, and potentially what we might also see is, price like this again, heading sideways, within this range about, the $80, about this 83, 84, this level to about this 110, this sideways trajectory, if prices is unable to hold above this 110, right? So for Johnson, I think those are some of the levels that you can take note of, especially near the support zone, 110, near this level. That's where we can potentially position ourselves on entry. But of course, do remember to have your trading plan or stop loss plan in place to protect your downside. All right. So that would be for Micron. Back over to you, Joey, to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you so much. Let's move on to the very next one, and that would be by Stylo. All right, by Stylo. But before I talk about Stylo's stock, right, I think like what Kam Chong is mentioning as well. Kam Chong, right, bottom fish. Well, better wait for 1 GT bullish signals to appear. You need patience to wait, and that is very good. Kam Chong, thanks for mentioning this. So, like when we covered the other stock, I think we mentioned about bottoming, catching the bottom, and then you might end up catching a falling knives. So we don't want to do that. It's good to always wait for signs of a reversal. So we only want to think about getting in when there are pretty much just two things happening, right? Not that it's going down every other day and downtrend and stuff, or bearish signal, then it's okay. I think I don't want to buy that kind of stock, right? But we only want to think about getting in when there are signs of a reversal, all right? At least, showing some bullish signals, at least the trend indicators are turning up, and that could guide you to, potentially get in to right the beginning of that reversal phase. Or, right, maybe a stock that has already reversed and it is strong, it is in an uptrend, it's going higher, all right? That's where you could think about getting in as well, even though it's slightly higher, but you could continue to ride the upside of the stock, all right? So, well said, Kam Chong, all right, thanks for just sharing that as well, regarding like not bottom fishing or catching the bottom, the kind of thing. We don't do that, right? That is not the one good trend strategy. So if you want to find a bit more on the strategy, well, we can place the link in the chat regarding the webinar. We do have a webinar, but it's not next week. It's not next week. I think it's like, we don't do this every other week. So probably it's like next month. You probably have to register for it and wait for up to next month. But Z can help me to place the link in the chat regarding the one good trend webinar to find a bit more. All right, that's where we'll share a bit more, not just about the indicator, but also the mindset behind the strategy as well. All right, Ken. Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on very quickly. All right, so that's the link in the chat. Check it out. Right, can register for a free webinar to learn a bit more about the entire strategy. All right, and the mindset as well, which I think is very, very important lah. All right, not bottom fish or bottom catching, the kind of thing. No lah. Okay, let's move on. I think let's talk about the next stock, and that will be from Styler. Styler, right over here. I put it out. I've turned on the bullish and bearish signals from my 1GT Pro indicator. Right, pump off. But let's turn it on. There we go. And let's take a look at it, right, Styler? So thanks for joining us. I think every Friday you're here, Styler. Okay. So today is what? TSM. Okay, let's take a look. I've sold off all my shares at 233 last month. Oh, very good. You sold 233, now it's 227, came down already. Hey, lucky you sold. Now came down a bit lower. Okay. Make good profit as my average cost was about 100. As the price has come down quite a bit, at what price do you think I can buy back? Oh, very good. So you have sold it, good, came down a bit, then now thinking whether should maybe buy again, because maybe it can rebound, go up higher, right? Let's find out. So you can see that from the 1GT bullish signals, yeah, I mean, not go too far, but pump, that was pretty good, right? Bullish signals starts going up, bullish signals in November starts moving up, and then of course, doesn't mean always bullish signal. Sometimes got bearish, in January, February, we got 1-2 bearish signal. Down we go, right? 220 go until 140. All right, so be careful, okay? So pump bullish, I'm not too sure. So I think you got in 100, even better. I think if you got in here, there was like 150, you wrote the upside, but you got in 100. So I believe that you've got in maybe last year or last year, right? Maybe right over here, we've got a few bullish signals you have on all the way, all right? So good. I mean, you've taken profit. Let's take a look at whether it's maybe a good opportunity to think about getting in again and where potentially to get back in. Okay, so I would say right now, quite clearly, this resistance is here, 250. Right, look at this. I mean, came up, sellers came back, it retraced back down, pump, down. A lot of what we call selling pressure right over here. This is what we call a sell zone. So anything near 240 something, 42, 48, 45, 47, 40 something, near 250, we could see selling pressure. So if you have got out there, actually also better, right? That would be a higher profits. But never mind, you've got 233, so it's good enough, right? It came down, but let's see if there could be a potential to get back in again. Maybe not now, but maybe next week or next week. And what do we want to look out for, right? Well, I would say now I want to be a bit more patient. Why? Because you can see this green line, right, Styler? I mean, it was up since May, right? Flat. And now, slightly, a bit only, okay? Not a lot, a bit only, okay? Slightly pointing down. Does it make sense, about? All right, slightly pointing down. So that is where it just looks a little bit shaky in terms of the trend in the short term, turning from up to sideways and now potentially down. If it's like flat, it's fine. I mean, let's say it was just up, and after that, it was like that, right? Okay, very boring, but better than down, right? But now, slightly pointing down, a bit only, so still okay. I mean, there's no bearish signal out. This bullish signal is still in play, so, still okay. But let's take a look at what could cause the bearish signal to appear. Let's turn on the trailing support and resistance. Let's take a look. And there we go, right? So when the first bullish signal came out in 1st of May, trailing support popped up. The green line turned up as well, all right? It's another confirmation of the reversal. And this trailing support follow up. And since like July last month, it flat already, right? Why flat? Why never go up? Because the stock also never go up, so nothing to follow, right? So it just remain flat, all right? So it's flat, but it got some space still, whereby the prices have been hovering above the trailing support level. Does it make sense, Mark? All right. So what is the trailing support level? Well, I would say it is about the 225. In fact, yesterday, we near 225, went down and came up above 225. Right now it's 227. Just above it, right? Above it. So just want to monitor a bit first. I think it looks, to be honest, quite attractive. I mean, the price came down, so it's definitely quite attractive. But because the green 20 days moving average line is sloping down, all right, you just want to be a bit more careful, right? Monitor it maybe up to next week. Let it flatten out a little bit. It stabilizes above the 225, and maybe, if we do see a couple of reversal bullish candles. So 2 days ago, not too bad, right? There's just one pretty good signal in terms of a bullish reversal candlestick, something like a hammer. We went down, buyers came back, push it all the way back up. So if you can see a few more candles like that, green line flattens out, or maybe point up a bit, that could be a good potential entry on dips, right? To think about riding the reversal. all the way back to 250. Of course, if 250 break, then that's where we could project upwards. Maybe all targets could be to 270 and 280 lah, right? But right now, that would be the range. So just be a bit more cautious because short-term trend is down slightly. Monitor a bit more. Let it stabilize above 225. Hopefully it holds. If holds, great. Green line, short-term trend start to turn up. All right. That could guide you to think about getting in again to ride the next phase up. All right. I hope that makes sense, Tyler. All right. So that would be for TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor. Okay. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right. Thanks, Joey. Okay. Let's see. All right, Vincent. Hi, team. Hi, Vincent. Thank you very much for sharing. Can you take a look at Oracle? Interested to enter? Currently have no positions. Thank you. Oh, thank you for being so polite. Let me just change it to Oracle right here. Wow. Okay. This is interesting. I never really looked at Oracle before as well. But okay, just what stands out for me is the 1GT bullish signal came in here up to now. About 60% gains already. Wow, not too bad. I think what stands out also is that 100 days moving average crossed above that 200 days moving average very, very, very recently. A few of those key levels have been broken. Just previously a resistance at about 190 to 200. And I think this 200 level was broken sometime in June. Proceeded to hit higher. I think a little bit of those resistance here around that 230 level, which is right where the prices are currently trading back towards again. I think it hit higher towards that 260, whereas that's I would draw my next resistance right there. So I think so far so good for Oracle. I think like what Joey have just mentioned for the previous stock, we have a little bit of a weakness coming in like that. 20 days moving average starting to point out a bit, Vincent. So just if you currently have a position, or no, you currently do not have a position and looking to enter, great. That's fine right now. We are close to a support level. So this is potentially an entry zone for you. All right, so we have two 1GT bullish signals. 100 days moving average pointing up, 200 days moving average pointing up, but just that 20 days moving average pointing down. So I think, Vincent, if you're looking to enter, I think you may want to actually just monitor for a little bit, see if there's any bullish candlesticks within the entry zone, maybe between 230 to maybe about 235, 236. I think that could be a potential entry zone for you. All right, so you want to set up some alerts, right? So in order to set up some, just right click and 235. All right, the price right there, and then one more if prices break above that 260 level, so maybe about 263 is where another alert can be set up as well. So if you are getting in close to that 230 level, right, you have to have a exit target. Right, so I think there could be two potential exit targets right here. One is definitely close to that 260 level. Nothing wrong to get out there, take out some profits, reduce a little bit of your position, enjoy those profits, then leave some to ride even higher. Maybe even towards that 290, 300 psychological level. I think that could be the next target if that 260 level gives way. But of course, a fair warning, if that 230 level gives way or it's not respected, you may see a downside towards that $200 psychological level. So in order to protect your downside, can just turn on that trailing support and resistance. You can see right here that that trailing support is right around that 230 level as well. So just having a stop loss level underneath that 230 level, maybe about that 223, 224 level, I think that could also help you to enjoy the upside while controlling your downside as well. So I think like I said, Vincent, you just want to wait for that 20 days moving average to perhaps flatten out a little bit, or even better, point up slightly. Then yes, I think you are set up for a pretty good trade if prices break above that 260 level and head towards that $300 level. So I think I will also add Oracle into my watch list. I mean, thanks so much for sharing. So I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the next stock.
All right, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the next stock that I'll be covering will be AMD, right? So I saw a couple of you guys was asking about AMD. Number one is M, right? M, you are asking AMD has been on an uptrend since the low in April. this surprise turnaround have left many investors behind. What is your short-term to medium-term outlook for this counter? Right, appreciate your comment. And I think the other one was by Kunaf. Right, Kunaf is also saying that AMD you bought at 125, hold or at. Okay, so let's take a look at AMD right now. All right. So for M, I'm not too sure if you actually is holding any positions or maybe not. You just want to find out about the outlook. But we can cover some of the levels, right? Maybe cover both sides as well in terms of where can we potentially position ourselves for entry if you don't have any position, and also for Kunaf situation, right? When we are already holding on to the position, maybe potentially where is some of the areas that you can think about taking some profits, right? Or maybe is there a possibility to actually ride the uptrend more, right? So for AMD, right? For AMD. As of last night, we saw that price close at 163.71, right? And what M has also mentioned is that the uptrend since April, probably it has caught a couple of people off guard because it's just started to rally all the way up since the April sell down, right, in the entire market, and then we actually got a multiple 3 1GT bullish signal, and prices started to go all the way up. And over the past couple of weeks, we started to see some resistance happening because that is where perhaps some people might started to take profits, selling pressure starts to come back, and this is the level around this 180, right? I would say around this 180 level is where we started to see some selling pressure, some sellers and some bears taking control near this level whenever it approaches this over the past couple of weeks. And right now, price as of last night closed at 163, right? So the thing is that I think one thing that I also wanted to highlight right today is sometimes we also heard a couple of our clients or mentees or even on AMAS, right? Sometimes people have been saying, hey, when I see the 1GT bullish signal right come out, then I cannot catch it, it's too late already. But if we take a look at this, right, the first 1GT bullish signal actually came out in May. The second one somewhere in June, and then the next one also in the middle to late of June. Right? If you didn't manage to catch it anywhere here when the 1GT bullish signal come out, maybe you only decided to, hey, I only want to get in after it actually break this resistance at about 130, right? Somewhere here. Is it too late? I think it's still okay, right? It's still okay because let's take a look at this. If we were to actually get in even after it broke above, even after the 1GT bullish signal came out, and back to the 180 resistance, this is actually about 36% rise in price, and even if let's say we compare to yesterday's closing price, that's still about 24%. So that's not too bad, it's still decent. So that's I don't think that it is more of like, oh wow, I didn't manage to catch the train, it's too late. But it's more so of whether are you actually comfortable with entering at a particular position with your risk managed, all right? So with that, to answer maybe Kunaf, right? You mentioned that you bought at 125 right over here, and right now I believe you are sitting at about close to a 30% profits, right? Close to 30% profits. So you are thinking whether should you hold or should you add, right? So one thing that I want to turn on is this trading support function as well. Okay, so when I actually turn it on, right, what do we see? We actually see that prices is actually still holding above the trading support, right? So that's a good thing, right? When we are thinking about buying, that's a good thing. As long as it's holding above a trading support, that's still okay, right? And over the past couple of weeks, we can actually spot a few candlesticks, one over here and the second one right over here, right? Just 2 days ago, whereby prices actually rebounded from this trading support, and we also noticed long lower shadow. So when we notice long lower shadow near a support level, right, that's actually not too bad, right? Because that means that buying pressure coming in to push prices back up during the trading session, that's what results in a long lower shadow, right? And because of this, we can potentially, already identify where is the potential areas that we can potentially position ourselves for entry. I would say somewhere near the trading support right here. I think this is all right, right? This is all right. As long as it's holding above the trading support level, I think it's not too bad, right? But of course, do take note that the resistance at this point in time that we are monitoring will be around this 180 level right over here, right, near this 180. So for Kunaf, right, because your average cost price is so low, right, if you were to add more position and if prices were to actually do something like that, right, go down then go up to this 180, retest it, I think somewhere near the 180, that's where you can also consider to actually take some profits. Nothing wrong to actually take some profits near the resistance level, all right? And because that is, of course, when we look at the trend, I don't really have to talk about the trend. The 20 days moving average, like we mentioned, it has been pointing up, right? And then this one, as we can see over here, the red line has crossed above the blue line, which is also a positive sign for the longer term trend. All right, and if prices is actually able to break and hold above this 180, not just break, but must be break and hold above this 180, I think potential upside targets that we are looking at would be towards the 220 level, because this was where, previously back in March 2024, we saw a huge selling pressure returning. So 220 will be the next upside target that we are looking at if prices is able to break and hold above the 180 level. All right, so I think those are some of the levels that perhaps Kunaf and M you can actually take note of, set some price alert, to notify you of the potential buy zones and sell zones like that you can probably take some action on. All right, so that would be for AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. Right now I'll pass the time back over to Joey.
Okay, thank you so much, Z. Okay, let's go ahead to go one more round. All right, let's go one more final round. I know it's about almost 2 hours. So very quickly, let's just do one more round. All right, and maybe we'll then hit on to the bonus stock. So what happens is that, guys, at the end of this session, right, me, Bervyn and Zee will each share with you one stock that we like that you can put in your watch list. So perhaps some of the stock that you asked, right, if we have not covered it yet, maybe they're in the bonus stock. That's why we're not going to cover like 2 times, right? So we'll save it to the end if it's a bonus stock. But if it's not the bonus stock and we never cover, then my apologies. All right, I can see that there's more than 50 over stocks that you guys have typed in the chat, guys. So first thing first, our apologies if we cannot cover all of it. We're trying our best. We try to probably pick those that are more popular and stuff. And those that can give you a bit of an opinion. So if you have not covered your stock, very sorry about it. You can join us in the next Friday one. Hopefully, you will get your stock pick maybe the next Friday or the next Friday. All right, Ken. So let's move on very quickly to the next one. And I would say that would be this company called C Limited. That is asked by Benny, right? Okay, I hope Benny is still over here joining me. Let's take a look, right? Hi, Joey. Can you look at SEA? Have been trading all the way up from 140. All right, just reported strong earnings. So I did not really follow the earnings, but yeah, thanks for sharing on that. It's a long-term uptrend, encouraging, right? Let's take a look. So I would say that, okay, let me just go to turn off the buy and sell signals, right? Very quickly. So it's a bit more cleaner. So quite clearly, guys, you can see that the C Limited is in a pretty strong longer-term uptrend. Not just last week or last month or what, but since 2024, all right? In fact, right over here, we saw the 100 days moving average red line crossing above the blue line, all right? So red above the blue, both the red obviously still pointing up, blue also still pointing up. I would say that the longer-term uptrend has been intact since April last year. For more than a year, we have been in a very strong longer-term uptrend. Not short, short can be down also, right? But longer-term, okay, no problem, right? But in the short term, look at the green line. Then you see it can be down, here down, here also down, in March also down, right? So short-term trend can be down, right? Doesn't mean always up one, right? Even though the longer-term trend is up for the past 1 over year. Does it make sense, right? So we want to try to time our entry when not just one up, one down, but when both are up. Does it make sense so far? All right. So let's go ahead to take a look at it right now. You can see that. So longer term trend, I mean, that one up since last year, I think you already know. But let's take a look at the short term trend. This green line, it was like and then down, then flat, and then now seems like, do you guys agree that it is starting to point up? I mean, like since last week. Does it make sense so far? All right. So I think that not just the longer term trend is up, Benny, but I would say the short term trend has turned from sideways last month to up over the past 1 week. So you want to put this stock in your watch list because now we got 2 confirmations whereby we're starting to see both trends aligned and then potentially more upside can happen, right? So I would say targets. Okay, let's draw some support. I think support quite clearly, maybe around 170. So 170 was a resistance. You see, went down. Wow, last week, 12th August, we went above it and we're still above the 170. So still okay. 180, maybe a bit of a resistance. Right? I think you want to set some alerts. If we can go above 180, right? 185, 182, 184, 18 something. That could be where a next phase could actually happen. All right, from just do a bit of projection from here to here, right? Could do a projection upwards. Well, maybe all the way to 200. I think very near 200. That could be where we could see the next phase of upside. So not too bad. You want to put this on your watch list. We could potentially see more strength above the 170. But let's quickly turn on the 1GT Pro indicator. All right, as I say, now I'm doing a very manual analysis, but actually they talk so much on that, right? Just click this button here already, right? 1, 2, 3, let's turn it on. And let's see, are there any bullish or maybe bearish signal? All right, very quickly. Well, I'm not go too far. Oh, it's not bad. So you can see, wow, got some bullish signal here that was in August, all the way up. Bearish, you see, come back down. Another bullish signal, all the way up. Let's zoom in. So recently, we got a new 1 GT bullish signal coming out as we attempted to break the 170 resistance level, which would now be a new support level. So not too bad, right? Another confirmation. We got a 1 GT bullish signal coming out. The green line already go up already, as you say just now. Long-term trend is up. So not too bad. We could potentially see more upside. You want to put this stock in watch list, especially if we break the 180. Targets could be revised all the way to 200. So not too bad. Thanks for sharing, Penny. You can put this stock in your watch list. The rest of you, I think one or two stocks that are pretty good, right? Pretty good. One to potentially see more upside momentum. Okay, Ken. So let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover the next stock.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Joey. All right. So Apang here is looking at MO or PM for dividend play. What price range do you think I should target for a 6 to 8 return? Sorry, I'm not too sure what you mean by 6 to 8 return, but no worries. I will cover Philip Morris. I think Philip Morris was one of our bonus stocks previously, so I thought I would just covering. But for dividend play, just have to take note there's a dividend withholding tax for US, 30% for Singaporean citizens. So that might affect you as well. So I think so far it is looking like Philip Morris is holding rather well after that 174, 175 resistance, support term resistance now was broken previously sometime in July. It rebounded rather well over that 160 support. We have that 20 days moving average, coming down previously and have most recently pointed up. And we also have the resistance being tested. I will not say it's a straight out broken right now. I think it's still being tested at this point. Yep, we closed above it, but it can still come back down if we see any weakness coming in. But so far, that longer term trend, right? Just zoom out for a little bit. Longer term trend is still looking very strong, very intact. Since April of last year, I think it's been going up gradually, higher and higher and higher. That's a good sign. It's stable so far, right? So I think if right now the next upside, right, Pang is next to about the 185 level, there's another 6% upside. So if I'm not too sure if you mean 6 to 8% or 6 to 8 years return, I'm not too sure. But if that 185 level gives way, I think just by doing like a simple projection, like I think Z and Joey have done just now, we can project it up towards that $200 level. It's right there. I think this is so far still looking not too bad for Philip Morris if it holds above that 175 level. We just turn on that 1 GT buy or sell signals. Great. We have a 1 GT bullish signal that have just appeared last night as well. So I think that's a good sign. Maybe we can start to see buying momentum coming back in. I think that 20 days moving average, yes, although it's still under that 200 days moving average, it has already started to point up. So I think the next upside would be towards that 185 level. So I think if it comes close to that 185 level, yes, but I don't know whether there will be a dividend before that. So you just need to take note that yes, it is okay to sell if prices approach that 185 level. Why? It is because it has tested it. It was a pretty key resistance at that point where prices were not able to break through. But if you are intending for a longer term play, all right, then yes, maybe coming close to that 185 level, you want to set up some alerts. Why? It is because if that's the case, you want to start shifting up your stop limit orders. Right now, that trailing support, I think just one day, one line about that 162 level. But if prices hit higher, this trailing support will definitely start to move higher as well. So that is where you can use it as a reference for your stop limit orders. All right, so I think the higher target will be closer towards $200. So I think that's a very quick one for Philip Morris. I think so far the trend looks like it's recovering. At least the nearer term trend looks like it's recovering. All right, so I'll pass the time to Z to cover the last requested stock before we cover our bonus stocks. Z?
All right, thanks, Bervyn. Okay, so I think the last stock that I'll be covering right before we move on to the bonus stock will be by Phyllis, right? Phyllis is asking about Walmart. Looking to buy Walmart, which is a good entry to enter. Okay, so let's take a look at Walmart, right? I think just a quick glance. I think last night Walmart actually released their earnings, and it seems like they actually missed the estimate right over here, and then prices get down. And just last night we actually got a 1GT bearish signal as well. So maybe potentially because of this, you are thinking, okay, maybe when price get down, you want to get it when it's cheaper, right? Then let's take a look at some of the levels that we can potentially take note of for you to actually set some price alert, right, to notify you when could the potential zone of entry be at. All right. So first thing first, when we look at the trend, same thing. Uptrend, I think for Walmart definitely still looks pretty decent and it still looks pretty great lah. Because if very recently based on the price action, just look at this area right over here. All three moving averages, green, red, and blue, are actually still pointing up, right? It's still pointing up. So I think not too bad, right? Not too bad. But if I think over the next couple of days or weeks, right, if we start to see, prices coming back down like this, right, and, it started to move down lower, I think what we might potentially see is to see some signs of the green, right, the green line right over here, right, it might also start to show some signs of it pointing down, because if I were to zoom in very clearly right now, you can see that it has been going sideways, right, going sideways for a couple of months, head up, and just very recently it started to flatten out already, right? It started to flatten out. So if the prices were to continue, right, if the market sentiment for this particular stock is not too good and it started to continue to head down, that's where we start to see more short-term weakness. The 20 days moving average will also start to point down. But I think one of the key levels that perhaps Phyllis, you can actually take note would be around, I think, this 92, maybe to about this 92, 93 level, right? This zone right over here, I think this would be I would call it like a support zone, whereby, this is where you can actually set some price alert for a potential zone of entry as well. Because since April to August, right, a good couple of months, prices have kind of just been consolidating and going sideways within this range right over here, right, about this 92 to about this $100 level. So $100, I would say, would be definitely the psychological resistance at this point in time, right? Because as of last night, price goes at 97. So for Phyllis, I think it would be good that, we can actually set some price alerts here, within this zone, if you are thinking of potentially entering a position. But of course, if prices were to continue to actually hit down, and if you monitor that when it's near this zone and it breaks this zone, right, this is where you want to be a bit more cautious already, right? Don't just thinking about buying because what is cheaper than, a couple of months back, right? Because that is where it could potentially, we might see more weakness, right? Because it breaks below a crucial support that it has been holding above for the past couple of months, right? And we also get a 1GT bullish signal. So I think for now, it will be good to, just monitor first, right? Whether, the next couple of days, whether is there any stabilization in terms of the price, because earnings just came out yesterday. So if there's some stabilization of price and we can start to see, prices starts to hover around a particular area, then that could, potentially be a new higher support being found, whereby buyers are willing to come in and buy at higher prices. But apart from that, I think the next best thing that we can do is to set some alerts right over here, like I've mentioned, to alert you if prices really to, going back to this level, then this is where you want to take a look at that stock. Take a look at that point in time again for this particular stock. All right. So that would be for Walmart, Phyllis. I hope that helps to give you some clarity in terms of the levels that perhaps you can actually take note of. All right. So back over to you, Joey, to actually start covering our bonus stock for today.
All right, thank you so much. Right, thank you so much, Zee. So let's move on right now to the next part, right, which is the bonus stock. So first of all, thank you so much, guys, for staying all the way to now, right, to join us all the way to now to go through your US stocks, typing in the chat, engaging with us as well. Really appreciate it. But before I talk about the bonus stock, right, I'm going to go ahead to cover very quickly all the 18 US stocks that we covered today, right? So right at the beginning, we covered on Broadcom, AVGO, Broadcom, Palantir, PayPal, CrowdStrike, UnitedHealth, Celsius Holding, Rocket Lab Corporation, Palo, Alto Network, Surf, Robotics, Nvidia, UVIX, right? Micron, Taiwan Semiconductor, Oracle, AMD, C Limited, Philip Morris, and Z just covered Walmart, WMT. All right, so yeah, that would be the 18 US stock that you guys asked, and we covered it. So now, very simple, as promised, we'll go ahead to dive into the bonus stocks that me, Bervyn and Zee, like each of us will cover one, and these are the stocks whereby we are starting to see some strength coming back. You could potentially put it in your watch list as well. I think some of you asking about Netflix, right? And I couldn't cover it because that would be the bonus stock I plan to cover at the end. Who is asking about it? I think we have Bossa Nova. Netflix, is there a bearish signal? No position and looking to enter at 1150. Let's find out, right? Let's find out later. Another one of you asking about Netflix as well. Yeah, I think one more person asking about Netflix. But anyway, right? This is Netflix. This is Netflix, one of the stocks that I think is looking to show some signs of a reversal, and you can potentially start to put it in your watch list, right, for potential entry to ride the upside even more. So let's take a look very quickly, right? Now, I'm going to turn off the bullish and bearish signals. So it's very clear. You can see that Netflix has been in a longer term uptrend, right? Something like the stock I mentioned previously, right? C Limited, right? Longer term uptrend, that these are stocks that we want to think about buying. All right, based on the one good trend strategy, right? We talk about bottom fishing, catching the bottom, going down. That one, the red line down, blue line down, everything down. We can buy for what, right? We don't want that kind of stock, right? That one, those who want to get cheap stuff that kind of thing. You go ahead, right? No, for us, no, right? We want to get stocks which are strong, which are pushing higher, which has the potential to move even higher, right? Even though they might be more expensive, right? So you must be able to get over the fact that you cannot buy right at the bottom or wait for it to come down and then you buy that kind of thing, right? You must be okay to buy, even though it's slightly more expensive, as long as there's a potential to move even higher based on the proven strategy. All right, so that is the mindset to employ. And for Netflix, same thing, right? Very strong longer term uptrend. In fact, since like last year, it was about 400, and people are saying, oh, $400 very cheap because it was only 300 months, so become 400, oh, very expensive. 500, oh, very expensive. 700, oh, very expensive. 800, very expensive. 900, expensive. 1,000, also expensive. For the past 1 year, you've been saying expensive, right? So, so you must be able to think about getting in, even though it's more expensive, because there could still be more room to go, all right? And look at it, right? It move up and up and up. Of course, we want to also wait for confirmations to get back in. So not just the longer term trend is up, we also want to wait for the short-term trend to also turn back up. And it's not always up, the short-term trend. Look at the green line, as I say, they're down, right? Here also down, right? In fact, last month was down, also down. And I was mentioned to be patient, right? Wait for it to start turning up, like over here. See, it start to turn up over here, right? That was in April after the tariff sell down, right? Turn up right now. Is it starting to turn up? Well, not yet, but potentially. In fact, let me just zoom in a bit. All right, I would say just starting, right? But maybe need a bit of confirmation, all right? Need a bit of confirmation, but at least it's not going down. Doesn't make sense. I think it's starting to at least point up a little bit. So that could be what we are waiting for in terms of that reversal, just like what we have seen previously after April sell down, beginning of the year as well, in terms of the short-term trend turning up. So let me go ahead to just remove all these lines. And now let's turn on the bullish and bearish signals to see if it says the same thing, if it sings the same tune. All right, let's take a look. Let's turn on as another confirmation. Do we have it? 1, 2, 3, pump. There we go. So I'll not go too far. I'll look at it. A bearish signal, and then it went down. 2 bullish signals came out in April. When is it? 21 April. All the way up. And then you got bearish signal. Green line also point down. And then you be careful. Take some profit. Get out. Wait first. Be patient, right? Until when? Be patient until a new 1GT bullish signal actually appears. So yeah, it finally appeared, right? Finally appeared, I would say 18 August, right? Just on Monday. Not too bad. And the green line has also started to slightly a bit point up, right? So I think that could be a beginning, right? Beginning of a potential reversal. If we can get just one more confirmation, right? If you want to be a bit more careful, right? What that would be if we can break this resistance level. I think that will be the 1250. So you can see 1250 was a bit of a resistance, became a support. We went down and all the way down, and now we are right below it. In fact, it was 1206. So the range is like maybe 1,200 to 1,250, right? About $50, 12 to 1,250, right? Up and down. But I think if you can go above the 1,250, right? That is where potentially, all right, we could start to see that reversal happening, all right? Based on this range, you could project it all the way back up, or maybe all the way back to the 1350, right over here. I think that was where we have seen selling previously, around 1350. I think somewhere over here, that could be where some selling can come back. Of course, 1350 gives way. Target could be revised even higher as well, all the way maybe to 1,450 as well. right? So this is Netflix, one of the stocks that we've been patient about getting in, right, when the time comes, not anyhow, but it seems like the time is almost coming. We just need a few more confirmations, especially if the 1250 gives way. I think that would be where the rally can start to happen. All right, so that would be the bonus stock for me for today. Netflix, I will see how it plays out, but it looks pretty good for now. All right, so let me pass on the mic to Bervyn to cover his bonus stock for today.
All right, thanks, Joey. Okay, so my bonus stock for today will be one that we have covered already previously. We have Quest Diagnostics on the screen right here. So this is one of the stocks on our watch list as well. Very steadily moving higher and higher. I think we have drawn, quite a few supports in the past as well. It has a little bit of a textbook uptrend heading higher, testing new resistance, breaking those resistance, and I think right now we can continue to see that longer term uptrend approach a next phase. I would say breaking above that 180 level 3 days ago. That 100 days, 200 days moving average still gradually sloping up, and that 20 days moving average also converging with this, also pointing up, and that 180 level, like I've said, have given way after multiple times of profit taking actually coming in. All right, so I think the most recent break above this 180 level, I think, was a pretty firm one. Can see a long, let me just get rid of this box right here. You can see a long green candle right there breaking firmly above that 180 level. So our next target have already been drawn up to about that 190 to that 195 level. So I would just want to very quickly turn on that buy and sell signal. See all these bearish signal, bullish, bearish. This was when prices were in a consolidation phase. This is when you start to see a lot of bearish signals, bullish signals coming in as the prices are just rebounding off like the floor and the ceiling like that. All right, so now finally after the last 1GT bullish signal right here on 22nd of July, finally see prices head higher and also break above that 180 level. So far, I think the trend for Quest Diagnostics is still looking good. Can have some alerts being set up close to that 181, 180, 181, 182 levels. Just give yourself, like that notification for that entry as well. And I think there is nothing wrong, okay? There's nothing wrong, like we've said many times in this AMAS session, to take some profits close to the resistance. And now the resistance looks to be around that 195 level, where you could see that consolidation phase come in once again. So I think so far for Quest Diagnostics, it has been pretty textbook. Counter has been performing rather well since the start of this year as well. Not much negative news coming in for them. I think they have started to take on a little bit of AI perspective as well within one of their segments. So I think Quest Diagnostics should continue to be on your watch list. And if you currently have positions on Quest Diagnostics, just turn on that trailing support and resistance, and you can see that trailing support right around that 173 level. So just having a stop limit order under this 173 level, you should be already sitting on some profits if you've gotten in right around here. You want to protect those profits and currently scale into your wins as well. All right, okay, so I'll pass the time now to Z to cover the last bonus stock we have for this Friday session.
Okay, thank you, Bervyn. Okay, so the last stock that I'll be sharing with you guys today in terms of bonus stock, that would be Welltower, right? So Welltower, actually, this is the stock that I've also covered the last session as well, but I think it's still pretty good. That's why I think there's nothing wrong to cover it again, to give you guys an update of this stock as well, all right? For those of you who are actually following or have been adding this into your watch list, right? So for those who are new, Welltower basically, as you can see over here, right, quickly, right at the bottom. Okay, so Welltower, right, is actually more of like into healthcare related, and they actually really focus a lot on senior housing operations. So you think about healthcare, you think about like old people, and then like residential living, those retirement village and things like that. So basically that's what Welltower actually does, right? So it's more towards like real estate as well. So for Welltower, if we look at the stock, the uptrend is very pretty lah on the chart, right? Everything is actually pointing up, red, green, blue. That's nice, right? And as of last night, price closed at 166, right? And this stock, right, as we can see, it has been in an uptrend, correct? It has been in an uptrend since even last year, right, 2024. It has already been a very firm uptrend. But somewhere at the start of 2025, this was where, price started to stabilize a little and we started to see some consolidation happening, right over here within this range, about 140 to about this 155, 56, this level right over here, right? It has been consolidating sideways since February all the way to about July, right? A couple of months, and that is actually okay in an uptrend because that's actually good lah. In fact, if we actually see some sort of consolidation like that before it actually push up even higher, because when we zoom in on the consolidation phase, right, what we actually see is that the longer term trend, right? Let me just highlight it. The longer term trend right over here, during the consolidation phase, they are actually still heading up higher. The red and the blue line is actually still heading up. So that's great, right? In the longer term perspective. But in the shorter term, I mean, of course, it's going sideways. So the 20 days moving average will probably also head sideways, like we can see over the couple of months right over here, right? But subsequently, somewhere in July, that was when, prices managed to break and hold above the resistance, right, which is the range that it was actually trading at for a couple of months. So, somewhere over here in July, right, it actually managed to break above. And we started to see, the 20 days moving average has also gained more momentum and it started to push up as well. So right now, 20 days moving average is pointing up. Red and green line is also, the red and the blue line is also pointing up. Great, right? Longer term trend, no problem, right? And apart from that, we also see 1 GT bullish signal that is still playing out. And currently, there is still no exits yet, lah. Right? And over the past couple of weeks, what we actually see is that, prices, yes, it did head up, but around this 170, that's where prices met with some resistance, right? Selling pressure came in, push prices back down. And this was where I think potentially we can find a new higher support around this 160 right over here, right? This is the line that I've drawn. This could be one of the potentially the temporary support, the higher temporary support that could be found, because this was where buyers came in, right? Buyers are willing to come in to buy at higher prices to support at this level. Previously, it was over here, 100 and about 155, 160. But right now, it seems like there could be a new higher support at around this 160, 61, this level right over here, right? And resistance-wise, like I've mentioned, right, about 170. So potentially, this could be where we could see some selling pressure returning again as price approach this 170 once again. So if selling pressure were to return again, I would not be surprised. Like this is where, some of you guys who already have a position, you can also consider to take some profits, right? And what would be good is that, if let's say prices can move like that, then it break above the 170, great, right? That is another phase of consolidation before it push up even higher. And if the longer term moving average at this point in time, when it consolidate, it still goes up like that, great, right? That will make the uptrend even more sustainable. And if prices is able to break and hold above the 170, I think potential upside targets that we are looking at will be towards the 185. And how do we get that? Is based on very simple, a projection. You see, right over here, push it up, right? So that would be the next upside target that we are looking at if prices is actually able to break and hold above the 170 level, right? Whereby the 170 would turn to become another new higher support again, right? So those are some of the levels that I think will be crucial for you guys to monitor if you guys are actually putting this into your watch list. And I think at this point in time for Welltower, it definitely still look great. And if let's say, coming down the next few months, if let's say the Feds actually do decide, I don't know, to reduce interest rate, I don't know whether they will reduce or not. But if let's say the interest rate do come down, then that could potentially, give a boost to those REITs company as well. All right. So that would be for Welltower. And yeah, that's it from me. I'll pass the time back over to Joey to probably close off today's session.
All right, thank you so much, Z. All right, how many of you found that these bonus stocks are value, or maybe you've got value so far in today's session based on the US stock that you asked and also the bonus stock that we share with you guys? Just type V, guys, type V for value. Give us a thumbs up, hit the heart shape button, type V for value. Let us know if you got value. Just want to make sure that all of you learned something today, got value, and we have also covered your US stocks as well. Let me know, right? How many of you got value? Just type V. Let's see, Evelyn, value, Benny, I covered your stock, you must sure type, okay. Jared, V, value, awesome. So thank you so much for joining us today. I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's session. Vincent, good to see you as well. Thank you very much, Vincent. All right, Chinkiet as well, awesome. Okay, so very simple, guys. I want to add on one last thing, right? That, if every time you see that when we talk about a stock, we turn on the 1GD Pro indicator, all right, and in a matter of seconds we can turn it on and we get an opinion in seconds, right, based on the bullish or bearish signals that are here, all right, that we turn on, right. So if you want to go ahead to test drive this, we do have a light version, right, the 1GT light indicator. So team can tell me to place the link in the chat. So what happens is you click on the link in the chat and you will come to this page right over here, right over here, right? You can see this. Let me show you again, right? Test drive my one good trend light indicator for free. So what we have been using, right, to analyze your stocks and the bonus stocks was the pro version. This is the light version. It's a simpler version, right? It's simpler to use. You can turn it on and off, the bullish and bearish signals, you get an opinion in seconds. So check it out. Click on the link in the chat. You come to this page, get an opinion on any stocks or any asset classes. So even though today we are covering US stocks, but doesn't mean it only works for US stocks, right? It works for any stocks, any markets, right? Singapore, DBS, Apple, whatever, all right? Any stocks, Malaysia stocks, whatever, all right? Hong Kong stocks, and you get an opinion in seconds, right? Any asset class, even crypto as well, all right? Crypto, FX, ETF, whatever. You get an opinion in seconds. So check it out. Link is right in the chat. Come to this page, and for test driving it, right, you actually get $3,000 worth of training just for free, just for saying maybe, right? Just for testing it out. So link in the chat. This is the one good trend light indicator, right? Just for you, right? To test drive it, all right, and I hope you find it useful as well, right? So very good. I think we have pretty much come to the end of today's session, and let me know, guys, how many of you are actually like clients of mine in Phillip Securities, whereby you are getting our daily updates by WhatsApp. This type of C for client, guys. If you're actually a client of mine in Phillip Securities, let me know how many of you are clients of mine. I just want to acknowledge all of you for just joining me. Type C for client. If you're a client of mine, you have a trading account under me in Phillip Securities. All right, I think we do have quite a bit of clients over here. Winkit, Dave as well, client. Thanks, Chi Leong, Lin, Jared, Styler, definitely for you. Colleen as well. Client. So very good. So all those of you who are clients, very simple. I believe you are receiving our daily updates by WhatsApp. Some of our top Singapore stock ideas. So just want to share here in case many of you are not yet a client of mine in Phillip Securities. You're just scrolling through YouTube and Facebook. All right. And very simple. If you want to get some of the ideas, right, that we share, right, not on the US, but on the Singapore market, right? Singapore market. Well, check out the link is right in the chat, right? The link is right in the chat. Find out as to how you can become a client of mine in Phillip Securities, right, for free at no additional cost whatsoever. Is pretty much the same as whatever you pay when you're trading, but you do get some service at least, some of our top private ideas daily by WhatsApp as it happens, private trainings and all that, right? So link in the chat, check it out. If you are not yet a VIP client of mine in Phillip Securities, where me, Bervyn and Zee, we're all brokers in Phillip Securities, right? So check it out. That's where I think you can get more value, especially if, you're trading in, you have a trading account. So you need to buy and sell stocks, so you need a trading account, right? So if you are trading and then your own broker never send you anything, no idea, no video, no training, no WhatsApp, nothing, right? It's a hotline, you need to call and wait for 5-10 minutes. The link is in the chat. Check it out, all right? You do not pay anything more, all right? It's pretty much free, right? It's free. These are value-added services we do for our clients in Phillip Securities, right? So thank you so much for those of you who are clients already. Colleen, Tony, David as well, value, Styler, client. All right, so I think we have come to the end of today's session. The links right in the chat. Check it out, and we look forward to see you in the next AMAS session. So today is US, right? Next Friday we'll be back to Singapore. All right, Singapore stocks again. So join us next Friday. The link is right in the chat as well. You can set a reminder. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, so that when we go live, you will be notified as well. All right, so we'll see you next Friday for our AMAS Singapore edition session. So anything to share, Bervyn and Zee, to end off today's session?
I think, so like what Joey said, because there's a little bit of volatility coming in tonight, I think, from the symposium and everything. So I think just be a little bit more careful. All right, so I think market should on the next FOMC is somewhere in the middle of September, so there's something to watch out for as well. The market is still a little bit skitterish at this point, so just have a trading plan. All right, okay, so I wish everyone a great weekend ahead and a good week of trading next week. All right, thanks everyone. Thank you.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Bye everyone. Have a good weekend. We'll see you next Friday. Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.